prediction. We could talk about that once we get into the third map, or if we get into a third map, but the biggest change was switching out Stellar into Sage instead of Omen that really made a difference. So I think that if it still goes into a third map, we might still see a very close third map and not a one-sided matchup. But enough about the predictions and what to expect. It's now time to witness who's actually going to be able to take this first map in this best out of 3. Winning this series qualifies you into the Masters. And is it going to be Immortals or LG? We'll soon find out, as Immortals on this pistol are starting on the defense and LG on the attack, where, by the way, we're still playing on the older patch. So Frenzy's still very potent.
Yeah, same with the Stinger as well. Expect to see a whole lot of that. Reyna's going to obviously have some additional charges on Dismiss and Devour. There's the Recon Dart going in. The Frenzy actually does work out there for Thief. Took a little bit of extra energy. The heal is going to come through. Again, that's the beauty of having the Sage in play. There's a wall down. There's 2 players backside currently. Chemicals wants to go up onto that rope, but would be a bad call as there was one up there. It was Thief. Gangsta actually executes Thief. The spike will be planted. And the retake is happening as the spike goes down. Players already on the site. Nice nade coming down onto Chemicals, reducing things down to 2. Nature's got the toxic wall going up, but has to be careful. There's a player right around the corner of default box. Doesn't scare Nature at all, who goes for the leaping shot. It's going to come down to the 1v1. It's Gangsta versus a Proto, and a Proto, he may not feel as comfortable on Raze given the length of time he's played Cypher main, but he picks up the big dub here in the pistol round for LG.
And at that distance, it doesn't matter if you have a Sheriff or a Classic. He's still accurate with the headshot percentage. Very nice shot to land that 1 versus 1, but a very good retake for Immortals at least. I like the fact that you had that wall coming up, blocking actually the front side, so that you force everybody on the retake for Immortals to really fight back towards the back of the site for the retake, because the wall is going to take a while. It takes much longer to break down on pistol too. So you have great post-plant advantages for LG after that. But Gangsta, he read it perfectly. He knew that Thief was going to come up towards the A tower, got that first kill, made the chances go into the favor of Immortals on the comeback, but at least the post-plant, the distance, still comes in favor of LG. But because it comes down to a 1 versus 1, Immortals in this round going for the Stingers, and also went for a 4-man stack at the beginning. They spotted a bit of opposition towards that belt side, but as things calm down, we are also playing super passively towards the B side for Nature, and the Owl Drone from LG suggests that they want to try to attack this site.
One thing of note, the last time these 2 teams played on this map, Moose really struggled. Bottom performer for LG when he played against 100 Thieves the other day, top performer. The growth we've seen from Moose as a player is going to be instrumental in their success on the map. We'll see what they can do here as, again, they go for a plant. They're going to stick it inside of that venomous orb. Nature will drop to Thief. As the wall came in too, that does certainly help. Thief is going to find 2 kills with the Bulldog spray. And now it's down to 3 here for IMT, trying to come through again on the retake. Thief's found 3 kills on the round. A Proto finally peaks to make it the full house for those 2. LG survived the second round, and a flawless victory means we will see a bonus round coming in of the highest possible value for LG.
Yeah, and exactly when you're looking at the plant right now, yes, he's walking into the poison cloud for Stellar for the plant, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really kill you. It decays your armor, it decays your health. Once you walk away and the debuff is gone, your health and your armor is back. So that's another detriment to not having any type of anchor sentinel like a Killjoy, for example, that Nature used to play. So you don't have a nanoswarm to prevent the spike. You're going to have to let it go unless you have some set poison snake bites, to be able to place onto the ground. I would expect later on, though, that poison cloud mixed with some rifles towards oranges to break the wall could actually help for the spam to prevent that spray, the plant. So we'll look forward to those sprays later on into the rounds once we have the full gun round coming in.
Let's see how long Thief can hold on to this Bulldog. Thief also has the ult available due to the sheer number of kills that Thief was able to convert in the first couple of rounds. Again, you're going to see that wall come through. There's a smoke coming out as well as Thief wants to go Indiana Jones. No, actually dives over top of the roof. Has to be careful. There's one back site, not prepared. Goes inside the wall. Ends up dodging the damage. A wall going up over top to allow Stellar into the site. Does result in them gaining access. It'll be Chemicals, though, with the crisp shots on the Sheriff to make this one difficult for LG. You've got a 3-on-2. The spike will be planted momentarily, but again, the hardware for IMT is not exactly fantastic. Gangsta's got a Sheriff as the dart goes through. And I believe Nature has just a Classic. does actually end up scooping up an SMG, so there's a little bit more firepower here, some extra oomph as they go and tap the spike. There's the peek coming through. Nice shots coming out from Nature. Shock darts aren't where they need to be, so Nature's able to survive a little while longer. The dink shot down onto Stellar makes this possible here, but Gangsta just can't convert. Boost survives from on high, and LG survived around. Again, that was a bonus, so they're going to be coming out of that one with a decent chunk of cash.
Great way to be holding on to that wall towards that beginning of the round for JC Stani too, right? We're looking at sometimes playing in the ranked plays or when Icebox first came out, how overpowered it was to just lay those 4 blocks in a straight line through the 2 and just stack up on different sites. But this time you're seeing the potency of having the wall to funnel your opponents onto the left side of 410 or the maze wall, for those who would like to call it on different nomenclature for the names for that spot. Well done for that, but you gotta love the fact that Stellar kept his at the same time too for his self boost to be able to hurt down the opponents, but they were only on a much lower buy here for Immortals. This time though, we do have finally a full gun round with the exception of a couple of guys that probably still have their Bulldog from the previous round, but Chemicals does have the operator. He's at the truck side where a simple shoot and dash would be good enough for him to maybe land a kill or at least some information. And he does have opposition from Thief, it seems like, towards that A nest, and they're just off-timed every single time, and it seems to be that first battle, that first opposition, and their first line of information you're trying to take towards A. But it calms down for a bit. We're lurking back towards the mid side. By this time, the wall has been broken on that tube side, as we mentioned before, so this allows for eventually a split into B if they want to.
They are going to be moving in that direction as well. Well, you've got Stellar coming in from underneath tube. They've got the split, but look at the presence currently here from IMT. Now the slow orb does come in, a counter slow orb coming out from JC Stani, who's stuck inside this ice, waiting for it to dissipate. There's the jumping knife toss from Thief, and now they've got Hall's control, and that flattens out the push pretty badly for IMT. Thief is in position, knows there's one around the corner, still has the knives out. It's going to be a knife duel. Who's going to win it?
Oh my god.
Neither one.
You got him in the knees, though.
Yeah, Chemicals gets hit and decides to bail, and that's the right call. You can see Gangsta's here now alone. It is a 1-on-3. It's interesting to see Gangsta still go for this while his teammate is all the way across the map.
Yeah, that turned out to be pretty much a Hidden Leaf Naruto battle. Shout out to Team Liquid with their latest drop. Really nice stuff, but in the end, you're still able to save your operator into the next round for Chemicals, but that was a very crucial kill for Thief to actually prevent any type of rotations that's going to come through the hallway at Kitchen. So very well done for that while the rest are working towards the A side. You saw how chaotic it was for the amount of frost orbs that went up into the hallway pathway and also down towards the wall of the orange side. So in the end, it just came down to those battles. We didn't see it too much because it was off screen, but the main focus was just trying to have Thief hold down that rotation to not allow Chemicals to get any type of op kills coming back to the spawn site at Snowman. So this allows LG to now have 4 rounds in a row, and off this operator, you still want to go for a buy for Immortals. It's going to be a buy where they can maybe go for a half buy into the next round with small shields and rifles, but Chemicals is signed to post up towards this B side, so exactly they can use these SMGs for more of a close range battle towards the A site for Immortals.
Shot up, spotted by the dart. On the other side, Pipes has to be careful. Some shock darts come through. Again, you've got a toxic wall up. As it starts to go down, we might see the push come through. You've got quite a bit of players built up inside A main for LG. 4 rounds to 0 as well. IMT struggling at stopping this offensive pressure that's been coming in from LG. So how do they try to stop it? They put JC Stani up top in the tube, but it doesn't really convert well. Thief does what Thief has done before. Goes for the tailwind in, and it's difficult for them to dodge. Gangsta will at least convert with the ult there. That's going to be 2, actually. Again, you've got Nature with just a classic, but it's the ult doing the damage. That's the leg shot angle from Moose. Getting up on top of Sign, making it very difficult. And it's now down to 2 yet again. Now, there is Viper ult available, but it seems like an unlikely time to pop it. And given that you've still got that op in play, you're going to see Chemicals back off from this one. Nature does, I think, switch out to the Sheriff that was picked up off of his teammate's body. That would be Gangsta, who died and doesn't even really get a chance to fire. Flying off the rafters, gets dropped by a Proto. So Chemicals again will hold on to that op, but we were praising this team in LG and in IMT as well, for that matter, for being able to neutralize the op threats by utilizing skills, not necessarily taking a direct one-to-one op battle. And LG right now is kind of illustrating that.
Yeah, and right now for LG, it's because they never really had to be in a situation where they wanted to buy an operator yet, right? Because you had Thief on Bulldogs before, then another round he had Blade Storms. Now that he does have that money, he still decides to go for a rifle, so they want to go for this type of like execution. You see that when he went into the A site, the Frost Orbs that came out, we also had the paint shells that were thrown towards that truck side. With that Omen, they have that Paranoia on the left side of the 410 that they could throw towards screens, so they want to utilize somebody like Thief that could maybe dash into that A tower, and he's going to be that person that's going to take over that A tower side to watch towards screens and a spawn side, with also help from potentially Moose on the top of 410. So they'll have a lot of height control, some height advantage versus their opponents on a retake, and it works out very well. I like this one too, actually. This is a newer one to have an ult on the top of the pipes, which should cover top of pipes and even the bottom of the floor. So that makes a little bit things a little bit more difficult for LG to try to take over this A side. And as you see it from this overhead view, they have absolutely no visibility here for LG, with the exception of two of their teammates that they see their bodies on the ground.
I like that play too, with Lorena on site, getting up over top of that wall. Now, Nature's taken out, and that's going to be difficult. Moose hitting his stride here. 2 kills coming in for their Sova. The recon dart's going to go down, and now the ult's going to get popped. They have to be careful as there's a flank coming in from Chemicals. You can see those pulses coming out from the ult. It doesn't result in a kill, but they have to worry about Chemicals, who's now on the flank. It's the worst possible gun to have on the flank, and it might be a kill for Stellar, but Chemicals gets the read, spots Stellar out around the corner, sees one more as the smoke comes through. Paranoia is in, but it's off the mark. Chemicals has now found 3 on the round. It was all up to Moose, but at that point the damage was dealt. 5-1, Immortals finally get themselves on the scoreboard.
I told you guys about the timing of Chemicals, right? With an op of all things, he's still able to find that timing in those kills. It was a little bit of a slow reaction for Stellar on that fight when he finally saw Chemicals, but he did land a very nice one versus your boy Dre that finally helps Immortals put the first point on the scoreboard. But that's off the ult of Nature, the Viper's Pit, that really allowed Immortals to gain that success towards the A site. I also question myself all the time too with the Viper's Pit. What would be a good spot to actually put it down? Because I haven't watched enough of, for example, Nbox when Poach was playing on that Viper as well. But to see how good it is on the top of the A pipes to fully cover any type of entries on the main side of A is so good right now for Immortals, and LG has to be prepared for that going into the future. Yes, they took him down eventually, but they still lost 2 players at the beginning of the round in that process. But nonetheless, you have 5 rounds in a row for LG. The money is still healthy. They're still lurking around towards this A side just to try to see if there's going to be any early aggression from the defender side. But it's just them holding out. You see the Owl Drone that went out, the Boom Bot that also went out towards B. So you are making a little bit of noise here towards this B side that forces the rotation from LG, the Sage moving over to that side. And we're looking to potentially have another split into B. I'm assuming here at this point, a 4-man explosion and a late lurk from Thief again under tube.
They're going to have to deal with Chemicals right now, who has some verticality with that op. Nice shot downward onto a Proto. That's an early pick, and is even staring back towards low side tube, just in case you do see that lurk come through. Trying to take out the wall, but doesn't do it fast enough. JC Stanley desperately wants to peek to try and stop this spike plant from happening, but surrenders it. In the meantime, Thief finally comes through from sub-tube. Gets dropped by the Reyna for IMT, excuse me, who was up in kitchen. Now, Moose is pretty far away. Looks like Moose is going for a long wrap to try and come back underneath tube. You've got Chemicals, who's still a nuisance on the site. And now you worry, is Moose's flank going to come through in time? The spike is planted wide for him, but is the wall still down? You hear the shots come through, and at this point, the play is completely isolated. Shot up, picked off a player backside yellow, and JC Standing will find the final elimination on the round. It'll be IMT now getting 2 rounds in a row over LG. It is important to note, too, the last time these 2 teams faced off against each other, Immortals won the map, but didn't do so hot on the defensive side. They lost that first half 8-4, so they still brought it back and won 13-11. So don't be surprised if we see a lot of rounds pile up for LG. and then IMT starts to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah, I remember looking at stats and trying to see like some of the teams that always play or play enough Icebox to know a little bit of their win rates. When you look at IMT, LG, I think Sentinels is another one, and 100 Thieves, they're pretty much 50-50 on the attack and on the defense. The only team that I see a lot more dominance on the attacker side is Nbox. So that said, when people are saying that it's a little bit more attacker side, it's normal to see an 8-4. That is also very normal right now for LG and Immortals that are around that 56% on their win rate on the attack. So we could potentially see, like you said here, Bach, the attacker side for Immortals might be stepping up, but getting 2 rounds out of 7 so far on the defenses is still a great start, especially now that Chemicals does have that operator. On that previous round, they didn't have that cloud burst that holds towards that ground. It's exactly the way it's placed right now, just on the ledge, so it becomes a one-way. The feet will be spotted for people trying to run across from that long B, but there's no operator there at this time. Chemicals is holding towards A. This is a great advantage for LG to rerun that same strat, but here's what I'm talking about. The snake bite, and then you have the wall to be immediately broken, and they're just going to try to spray it down, but the shock darts also is going to hit the first kill. The spike has been planted, but Stellar dies in the process. It's still a 4-on-4 with the spike planted.
Sprays coming through. The ult's been utilized. That showstopper, though, not really going to catch much as the retake is underway from IMT. JC Stanny able to move all the way up to yellow, but the ice down in that position makes it difficult, but somehow they still managed to make it work. Your boy Dre, though, from backside yellow almost had an opportunity as he found a 4th. Chemicals saves the day with the Blade Storm. But a very scary round for IMT as it almost worked out for LG off the back of a heroic performance from a player whose position was well known in your boy Dre. That said, the buy is not going to be too bad for Chemicals and company because you do have that money built up for Chemicals. He should actually drop a weapon over to JC Stanny. There's the request and the purchase. So they will have a full buy. They'll still have the op in play as well since Chemicals saved it. But it definitely is a way for LG to make sure they keep IMT on the breaking point.
Very nice try by your boy Dre, at least, though. Is a 3-man spray, almost a 2-man spray for the 2 guys running on the right side of yellow to get that ace clutch in the end. But it seems as though for LG, they read that very well. You had the soul orbs that were thrown on the ground by yellow, but Chemicals and the rest of company of Immortals just continue to bunny hop through it to get those close range battle victories against LG. But as we do have good money for both of these teams again, I did see that for Gangsta and for Moose. They're very close here for the ultimate, only being 2 orbs away, but they're not focusing on that right now. They just need to try to squeak through and try to fight against at least Shut Up, and they take him down. And Chemicals, long range battle versus Thief on the top of Pipe rather, manages to secure that kill for LG. So Chemicals falls. We have a 4-on-2. The spike plan is going to be safe in the front between 410 and the front A site. And a Proto is going to be on that flank, leaving Nature on his own.
That is about as clean a take as you can get. My goodness. LG just obliterate Immortals' A-side defense. They almost make it look easy. And you look at the last couple of rounds going towards B and you start to wonder, maybe we should just stick towards A a little bit. And in fact, that's something we've seen from a lot of teams is B is not typically a site you see frequent executes to. A lot of times you'll see a lurk on B, but typically you'll see a heavy presence towards the A site. I do like seeing teams' creativity on that B site to see how they're going to try and crack in with those mid splits through Tube and Kitchen. But I would expect to see a lot of what we're seeing right here. Moose using the Owl drone to try to get some intel over on the B site. I like this setup from Chemicals. It doesn't work. He's forced to check too many spots, looking on top of the box as well. But look at the hefty presence on B off the back of the Owl drone that came in from Moose and that spot in mid. They're anticipating a B hit here, and that is going to backfire as it puts Shot Up all alone on the A site.
Yeah, and the Owl drone finally clears out the garage side in long B, but there's only the Sage Heads rotating back. JC Stanny to help Shot Up, and Shot Up only has a stinger, and we ult towards the back of the site. JC Stanny, though, still is able to take down your boy Dre. So it's a 5-on-4, still trying to move in for LG. It will be a successful plan, but Thief does have high ground. Inside the A tower, looking towards the rotation at Boiler. They are also fighting towards the back of the site where a Proto is throwing those pain shells. But here is where it gets deadly. maybe 2 kills that were done before by Gangsta. This time it's only 1, but it's good enough for the rest of Immortals to run inside the site, leaving Moose on his own. We talked about how good he was here on this map before and how good he was yesterday. Can he clutch a 4 versus 1? He now makes it a 3 versus 1, has 2 Shark Darts, has a recon, 1 more kill for a Hunter's Fury, cannot get it versus Shut Up, and it's going to be the defuse for Immortals to put the 4th on the board, and they are catching up to make this game close for the defender side of Immortals.
That's a disappointing performance there from LG in the post plan. The way they got onto the site and what they were facing off against, it seemed like it should have gone so much better for them. They lost a player back site despite having res available. Obviously, Stellar couldn't get back to them. Stellar dies, doesn't get a chance to res one of his fallen compadres. Moose tried to do what Moose could, and even had an opportunity there to get that Hunter's Fury. But just off the mark on that final kill, and the round goes the way of IMT. Even with the ult, it would have been quite difficult. They would have just tried to charge towards him and prevent him from being able to survive or do anything after the ult was popped. But again, they're going to go back to this A site, and I'm not surprised. This has been where they've had the greatest success rate with at least gaining access to the site. There's the ult being popped from Moose. First pulse off the mark. Second pulse not where it needs to be either. No damage being dealt there by Moose, and neither with Thief's ult. So that's 2 ults utilized for LG that don't produce any damage whatsoever. They get an opener off the rifle work, but they've taken some casualties on their side as well. They're down to now a 3-on-4 as the Shock Dart comes in to try and stop the plant from happening. They will secure it, and again, it's another A retake here for IMT. Thief picks off Nature through that dart cover. On the edge, you've got Chemicals spotting out a thigh, and Hope put one right into the artery to cause his opponent to bleed out. You've got Stellar now trying to move into position to try and get some verticality over these players coming through from the wall. It takes him a bit of time, and that results in his teammate's death. Shot to drop, to cover up the drop audio, excuse me. Chemicals on site, last player standing. LG grab another round, they're on number 7. And we're positioned to potentially see the same halftime score the last time these two teams played on Icebox.
Yeah, it was still very good, though, although we weren't able to get any pulses for the Hunter's Fury. Good enough for Moose to actually keep JC Stani with his knife out, trying to jump around, which then allows the rest of LG to just push aggressively inside the site. Although the knives did not hit, you already had teammates right behind Thieves, such as a Proto, to go for any trades necessary. We saw battles on the right side, we saw battles on the left, so they really did a good job for LG to converge and pinch into the site. Back then on the pulse plant, still very good with that wall and the height positioning. Like I said, that A tower is still so important, or the 410 top box are 2 important spots to try to cover that rotation. Now they're running back into the site. Look at that. We already have 1 player down to 1 HP, and he's also going to get melted by Nature with that Stinger. Now as he falls back, that's still going to have a long timer before that ult actually disappears. So he could just dance back and forth within that poison cloud of the Viper's Pit. But this is going to have to be the big flank from a Proto, but it does not convert onto JC Stani, who saw that coming from a mile away, and now they are just not getting any ground. You're talking about how they're having so much success here on the A side here, Bach, but that's twice where they're just going to eagerly walk into the Viper's Pit and die to it, or find any battles around it and still lose it. I still believe that their B hit is quite strong, though, because the wall is good. They get the plant. I think what's most important that hasn't been that hasn't helped them to convert the rounds into B is to have any successful lurks from Thief on that mid side, where teams like, for example, 100 Thieves, how good Steel is with the lurk towards mid.
Very close, with LG having a controlling lead on that attacking side. You had mentioned, though, in the pregame how the Viper change might be influential, and it was. When we would see that Viper pit on the A site, it was very difficult for LG to deal with, which resulted in some rounds for IMT. Here in the pistol round, they're going to go to the A site as well. The Tailwind doesn't result in an escape for Chemicals, but it's okay as support arrives in time. So the spike will be planted. That nade could be right on the money, but not quick enough. The Sage able to escape as JC Stani runs away and gets the heal in as well. It will be a 3-on-2. We'll see again that Viper utility showing its value as that Venom is going to go on the ground, slowing down the possibility for a defuse inside the smoke. You've got one. A second target is there as well. It's down to a one-on-one. No heal here for Stellar. Both players very low. Gangsta seems to know there's one up top. It's all about timing. Spots one as he goes towards the ropes. It's all about positioning and timing right now. He's going to try and fly his way out, but Gangsta says no way. It's skeet shooting practice for IMT as they pick up the pistol round.
That is such a good 1v1 from both of those players, man. Just trying to figure out where they are exactly on the map, the shots that are missed, the gambles of and the mind games of where they could be found, but it's going to be Gangsta that's going to take the upper hand. But this is off the back of Chemicals. Yes, the tailburst kind of missed, but it was actually to dodge all the bullets coming in from Thief at the same time too, the tailwind rather. But it still works out in the end here for Immortals to play very aggressively into the A side. We talk about very similar play styles between Immortals and LG at the same time, and we see how fast-paced these rounds could get. Although this is a closer matchup, we're close to having a 7-7 with Immortals taking the upper hand with the weaponry. It could still be a very fast matchup on this first map just due to how these two teams play. And it's always going to be that wall moving forward that allows for you to move into the site. They probably have a cloud burst that they want to throw into the top of the tower, but it's too late. Nature already falls from the hands of your boy Dre. Shock darts to push him off of his location, but we already have a rotation from the rest of LG in the back of B side. Stellar with the Marshall. He's still on that old patch, so it's not going to have that new update that they have for that rifle, but it's still going to be from Snowman trying to pop him down. The spike has been planted. 3 players moving forward. That is going to be a Proto in the face of JC Stanley, but shuts up 2. Now inside that smoke, he goes for the hat trick. Last one to go is going to be Stellar falling down with that Marshall. And it looks so good on that initial hold, but Immortals still put their foot on the ground and ties up the tally.
You saw the power of the Stinger come through as we saw an early kill for your boy Dre on the attempted push. They lost Nature on the take, which definitely hurts because that's the only thing they have besides Chemicals cloud bursts that can section off territory similar to a smoke. You've obviously got the Venomous Orb, you've got that Toxic Wall as well, but you don't have smokes, you don't have an Omen, you don't have a Brim, you don't have a Cypher, which obviously we don't expect to see a whole lot of on this map, and when we have, it hasn't been super successful. But losing that could have made that so much more difficult here. But it's back to the Stingers yet again. Your boy Dre is going to be playing on the other side of yellow, and they didn't spot that position out. Can your boy Dre maybe convert this into something to go for the peak? Double dinks come through, but it's not enough. You've got the self-heal for Shot Up, and the Sage also capable of that self-heal. Timing might be influential here for a Proto. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. The spin back from Chemicals, and you know that a Proto is frustrated on that one.
Oh, yeah. Does Chemicals play with, like, 21 sensitivity? Because that is so fast. I've seen people play with fast sensitivities like that. I'm thinking about Entity, actually, that works on his game, that in his pro days was playing a super high sensitivity in Call of Duty 4 and Counter-Strike 1.6, but that is so hard to control, at least for my boomer hands. But Chemicals puts that into fruition to exactly get that kill on that flank onto a Proto, where you saw that a Proto was taking his time to try to line that up and get that kill, but just unfortunately it doesn't pay off, and that also results into Chemicals getting 2 more kills at the end of the round to not allow LG to get any of those kills. Nothing but what we call unlucky, I guess, in that previous round, especially with those 2 dinks from your boy Dre at yellow. So it's a very tough one. Although I do like what Immortals are doing a lot towards this mid side. They always have that set toxic screen, or toxic cloud, sorry, that's thrown just by the tube. So they could decide to go for these lurks back and forth. They haven't done it so far in this whole half, but there could be that one round where they're going to use it that's going to totally backstab LG at this point. And we talked about how good they are on the attack. Well, that's 3 rounds in a row already, and that is the lead. Now we have the spike being planted towards the A side, and LG attempts to go for the retake.
You hear a lot of knives coming out, but not much landing. So the Blade Storm not really producing the success one would hope for. Nature with a quick shot coming out, though, onto the counterpart jet, and that Lear works out quite nicely. There's going to be a res even coming in as a Proto tries to get into a better position. LG is getting flattened on this attempted retake. All 5 players survive after the res comes through to bring them back to full strength. IMT have really stepped on the gas pedal here in this second half. But to be fair, this is exactly what we saw from LG in the first half. They won 5 rounds straight before IMT finally woke up and got something together. The fear, though, is in this instance, it would mean double-digit rounds for IMT before LG can finally come in with some strong buys to potentially stop it. And I'm concerned because these rounds haven't looked particularly close, whereas maybe we saw one or two like that in that first half for IMT. We'll see. Ult does get utilized by Thief to try to get aggressive with the Blade Storm. But in this instance, we are going to see presence towards B. They do have to worry about their Jet currently playing a lurk role over on the A site. They haven't dedicated to B either. Even though there was resources there early on, they didn't push beyond early long B. They're just kind of hanging back right now, waiting for that aggressive play to come in, knowing that this ult was popped, and they're likely going to try to use that to gain space.
The lurk from Chemical is still going to continue to be good here. He's watching out towards that mid rotate at the same time, but he doesn't look like he's going to be in a position where he's going to push forward and be that lead flank. He's just going to be a flank watcher, knowing that a couple of rounds ago, a Proto was trying to go for that flank before. But a Proto is currently playing towards B. That Boombot's already out. He was spotted, but he spotted a few as well. That's going to be the call for the rotation for LG at the same time, and he's trying to slow it down. Pain shells that rains towards the air. He does get the wallbang headshot onto JC Stani, but the spike has just been planted. He does have a showstopper, though. They don't have that much to work with. We saw a stinger before from your boy Dre. We do see another stinger now in the hands of Stellar, and only a sheriff and a showstopper is going to have to be a big kill coming in. And here it comes, and it does land onto Nature, but he falls at the same time. So it evens up the tally on a 3 versus 3. Immortals pushing forward on top of that. The right clicks of the Blade Storm misses. This trades on the back from Moose's flank, now to a 1 versus 1. Chemicals is trying to fight this battle as the wall is up, and he goes for the jumping classic from Moose, but Chemicals is the one that's going to clutch it and win it in the end. And that's going to put 5 rounds on the board for Immortals. That was a crucial round that was almost won for LG, but their morale stays shattered on the second half.
This is incredible, too, because if you watch that play break down, he ends up swapping the Stinger for another one that was on the ground. It had 6 bullets in it. Can't go for the reload. Has to stick with the Classic. The Classic, also low on ammo, had enough for 2 bursts and ends up hitting it on the second one. So ultimately, Chemicals comes out on top. He's the savior yet again for IMT. That was a solid round, all things considered, for LG. This is where they need to put the brakes on this attacking side for IMT. They need to find a round win here. They have everything they need. They've got Res available. They've got From the Shadows, and they've got Hunter's Fury as well. So Moose trying to section off B early on, sends out those pulses and forces them to funnel into this A site where you would hope to find a little bit more success for LG, but it doesn't go that way. One initial kill, and then the entries go the direction of IMT. So now they have the spike down. They too have the Blade Storm available for their Jet in Chemicals, who doesn't even need it. Chemicals has found every kill on the round, finally gets his rampage ended at 3. And it comes down to a 2-on-3, make it a 1-on-3. There's one player on site, it's Moose. We praised him for the way that he's grown as a player, but ultimately, there's just too much on the other side. 11 rounds for IMT as LG continues to struggle in this second half.
Yeah, and the idea of Moose throwing that Hunter's Fury super early too is because they potentially heard the Owl drone on that B side. So it's not only to section off, but maybe to still try to catch Gangsta into the middle of his drone and hopefully make it a 5-on-4. But you called it here, Buck. They funneled everybody back towards the A side, when on top of that, no kills also means better information, knowing that nobody's playing towards that B side. So they stacked, they rotated fast, but Immortals, when they keep holding that W key into the site, and they're just covering the angles with the high sensitivity, like Chemicals, for example, to clear out the corners, it's so hard for LG to hold this right now, even if they have some great crossfire setups. They need a little bit more. I think the utilities right now from Raze could help a little bit, but at this point, it's going to be your boy Dre at least getting the first kill, the first blood into this round, breaks the wall, and is going to try to bring things up as the res comes out, and he cannot get the... Oh, actually, he does! He does get 2 before he dies, and that is good enough for LG on the attempt of a retake on a 4 versus 2.
There's a wall coming in as well, but the section's broken down on top of the spike, but the retake comes through. It looked pretty good there for IMT. Now, they lose one player on the push, but when the plant comes in, that gives enough points to their Sage to get a res and bring that player back. Your boy Dre knows that there's an opportunity to punish, goes for a wide swing, and somehow converts on a double, a 2-for-1. as he found 3 kills on the round, one of which he already had taken down earlier in it. But you can see that spray down initially. There's the first kill, and then when the wall got broken, he came through and somehow lines up a double. I think it was an errant bullet that actually hits the other target. It was totally accidental.
He was aiming for
well.
He was aiming for a shut up, and somehow it glided out into the face of JC Standing at the same time. And when I saw that spray with no bullets, like the bullets counting down and no kills, like there's no way that he's gonna get like more than 1. But somehow he still gets 2 on top of that with that stray bullet. Like he's like wanted in that movie. So well done. LG survives that round. It's 11-8 in favor of Immortals, but with the amount of rounds that you've won in a row here for Immortals, you're still looking very good for the round. Maybe not health-wise. Somehow, Chemicals at the beginning of this round already has 2 HP.
Spike planted.
Another plant coming in for IMT. You mentioned it. Chemicals low on HP. There's the ult pop from Shot Up. That'll make that fire rate go through the roof. As Moose tries to use the drone to spot out players, that Shot Up actually taking one to the dome from Stellar from distance. Your boy Dre again with a heroic performance here on the B site. That's now 2 kills for your boy Dre. They know that Chemicals is still going to be moving into position from mid, and it's all up to Gangsta. Gangsta somehow steps up and finds 2 before being isolated and taken out. LG are not surrendering that 12th point to IMT. There's still some fight left in them. It just took them longer to wake up. When you look at this from round 5 until the last 2 rounds, it was 11-2. It's an 11-4 run currently for IMT, which is still incredibly impressive. But because of that bulk of rounds that LG was able to pick up in that first half to kick things off, they still can keep it close despite that long streak.
I also love that Stellar's drone was pretty much a third cameraman. How about V-Flight and First Knights of Knee are cameramen for this matchup? As he's just flying around, as he tags or sees an opponent, you just see them dying right in front of the camera. So very nice live action shoulder cam, I guess you could put it at that point, to allow LG to get this 11-9 on this retake that they had towards the site. Which, by the way, I've noticed that so far when Stellar's playing towards that back of the site at Snowman, or sorry, it was the drone from Moose, sorry, to get those kills, to spot those kills. But when Stellar's playing towards the back of the Snowman, from time to time you see the wall get popped up and he looks down towards Long B, but he hasn't really done that into this matchup yet because they see how important this wall is on that retake on that B side, which is also why you don't see a wall coming out early towards that tubes for LG. So they're really using it for the retakes. And the retakes, it's going to be attempted towards the A side once again, but so far it doesn't need to be a retake. They drop 2 kills, almost a third, finally connects with the trade-off from Thief onto JC Stani as your boy Dre falls. Now Thief makes it a 4 versus 1, and we're finally coming back into this game. We're 1 point away of tying things up here for LG, unless Gangsta gets more than that, but he gets stopped here by Thief, and we do get that 10th point on the board for LG.
And what this should do to the economy here, this should put them in a rough spot. No, they've still got enough money left to buy, even though 1 or 2 players will be a little bit light. So this is still a strong buy coming in for IMT despite everything. We should see the rest of the team buy here in a second. It looks like they've called for a tactical pause. So we do see a pause coming through as I think they're talking things over, trying to figure out what it is they want to do. As you've got Chemicals currently sitting in spawn. Hopefully it's tactical and not technical, because you really hate to see that when that one comes through. You never really know, especially at a point like this in the game when things are really starting to hit that crucial point. We knew that this map was going to be close, but we maybe anticipated a different way for it to play out. We thought maybe it would have been a more back and forth affair. But again, when you look at the last time these two teams played in the first closed qualifier, despite the fact that IMT has obviously changed their agent pool, utilizing a Viper instead of a Killjoy, one of the things that we noticed was that there was kind of a streaky nature to that map, with LG coming out swinging on the attacking side, taking the half 8-4. Here it was 7-5. But it was IMT who turned things on at the tail end of that first half and carried that into the second half with an insane run. Again, 11-2 from round 5 in favor of IMT before we finally saw LG get back on the scoreboard again.
Yeah, and you're just trying to figure out what right now, if you're trying to analyze this on the spot, what has been the winning victory here for LG, and you see how fast it is when they're retaking the sites. It could go either way. So far, we've seen rounds where it pretty much came down to a lot of 1 versus 1s. So the trades continues to be very good for Immortals in LG, something that we really praised a lot at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, when you started seeing these victories from Immortals in LG versus the teams like 100 Thieves and Sentinels. So to see them now continue to play that same type of playstyle and still be able to trade it off, very normal to see the 1 versus 1, but it still swings in favor of Immortals. I don't think any of these teams are playing a bad game right now. They're reading each other perfectly. Look at that. It's like, hey, they're working towards B, let's throw a Frost Orb towards their ground. But they're also doing the same thing for LG towards the spawn side. And now they're going back and forth, rotating back on the A side for Immortals. Soon but surely, we're going to have the rotation coming back from LG as well. But as it stays calm, they're going to run into a surprise here for LG, as they don't have the man advantage to try to hold this site. It's all down to Thief and to a Proto.
There's the Leer coming in to try and make it a little bit more difficult for Thief in this position. Sees one trying to go up. Here's that Jet fly in. Goes to the knives, but no, misses the right click. And now that puts a lot of pressure on the remaining players on site. Moose has to pop off and go big. Does drop the spike carrier, and you've still got players coming in here. It's all down to Gangsta, who's up in top tube. It's down to the 1v1, trying to spot that headshot angle. Has to fall down, only has 3 bullets remaining, and ultimately will lose the one-on-one against Stellar, who can even come through with an econ res if wanted to, but no econ res coming in. Now, the one thing I have to ask, we talked about it in the first half, right? The power of that Viper ult on the A site, how good it was, how viable it ended up being. People love Lockdown and the retakes that you can do with Killjoy, but on the attacking side, it's also so incredibly strong to keep people away from the site, so you can almost get a free take. How do they utilize Viper's Pit here on the attacking side? Because it seems like they've just kind of sat on it and haven't really been able to do anything with it.
Exactly, and they had... You probably want to keep it for the pulse plants right now, especially towards a B side hit. You try to leave a little bit of a lanes on the left side and the right side by yellow, so that people that are holding them back towards green could actually bring those type of fights in. We saw that when Immortals played yesterday, but aside from that, you don't see it more towards the A side, which is why now at 11-11, this might be the round they're going to do it. And there you go. That Viper Pit comes out. It's going to have a gap here towards that right side. You're going to have them play towards the back of the site too, at the green hallway, in the green lanes rather. And we'll see now if LG could retake the site.
The way that this works with it coming up on the other side of yellow makes it really difficult for them to deal with Nature's position. There's a res coming through. Hunter's Fury being popped from the other side. Good damage being dealt. Looking for that third pulse. Not able to get it. You've got Thief currently on the lurk. Oh, very close, but no! Gangsta somehow wins the one-on-one. You've got Nature playing outside that Viper's Pit. They finally take down the Viper inside of it, so that smoke's gonna fall. And now it comes down to this. It's a one-on-one. Your boy Dre playing on the other side has to swipe the rifle out, but again, like you said, no time. Gangsta's even gonna die to the spike. Sure, IMT finds round number 12. But what did it cost? What's their money gonna look like coming into this final round? It's not too pretty. You got 2 players who are gonna be struggling to field a buy, and one of them is Chemicals. The other one is JC Stanny, the Sage.
You would have thought, or you would imagine what the round would look like if they actually did get the backstep onto Gangsta, because when we had that 1 versus 1 at the end, it was Gangsta that was alive. So that was the most crucial kill that you needed to come in for Thief on that flank to try to pinch in towards those people towards yellow. But unfortunately, that's what, 3 times that we tried to have a flank here towards LG, and it's not Chemicals. It's going to be somebody else that's going to be able to watch and turn around and expect that flank, and they're winning those battles. Gangster being the one on that previous round, and that's going to hurt things up. And speaking of people being hurt, both of the Jets are actually low on HP. One is going to get healed, and that is going to be Chemicals. So we did try to have an early battle towards mid, but it's still going to be a 5 versus 5 now, as both heals are now out. Back towards the B side. This time there's no ult from the Viper's Pit, so it could still be a retakeable round here for LG, although we do have a res available for a pulse plan for Immortals. So the odds are in their favor. Can they actually hold it down for Immortals to win this first map? Let's find out here, Bach.
That was a big kill as well. Finally, the ult, no, the flank doesn't work out. I thought the flank was going to come through. So you have the ult, you have the res available, but they lost Empress in the process. Gangsta dropping off the bins, able to find 2 kills on the round as they continue to come through on the flank. They weren't prepared for it. The second player, like you mentioned, we are going to overtime as LG managed to keep themselves in the game despite the impressive run from IMT to take control of the scoreboard. They kept themselves in it, and sure We're going to
Switching
OT.
sides.
Why not? This is what
Overtime.
Icebox is. I feel like we have not casted an Icebox almost that didn't have the risk of going into overtime or did go into overtime.
Yeah, it's only, I think, when like the game first came out, or the map first came out, rather, where a lot of the matches for Sentinels went into this overtime battle because nobody really knew how to play. But now, as you're getting a little bit more out of this for these teams, it's just nice to see finally a good overtime in a matchup that matters. Mind you, again in this series, whoever wins this one gets to qualify into Masters. And we also talk about the tenacity of these two teams. I've talked about it at least, where they don't mind trailing from behind, and it would always be a close game in the end. And LG definitely brought this back to make it a very spicy first map.
That missed kill from a Proto gave me a little palpitations there, because we've seen that happen for LG when they would try to come through on these flanks.
Yep.
They would miss the mark. Going back to what a round prior when Thief is coming through on the flank, Gangsta is ulting. Why doesn't Thief just hold W? Like, I'm looking at that, he's walking up on the flank. I don't know how long he got into that position. It's possible he got there as the ult ended. I didn't see. But like, you just look at that play out and you just have so many questions. Here, we do have the op purchase early. Chemicals is going to be armorless as a result, as you don't get enough cash to buy out anything other than that op. Shot up, somehow able to convert on two, goes for the dismiss to get away out of that position. Moose from on high, getting two executions as they go for the take. The whiff, though, how? Shot up, able to survive a little while longer. It's a bloody brawl on the A site. IMT take control of this first round from the side that they struggled on more, the defense.
Shot Up was basically dancing around this whole A site all the time. That's 1-2 dismisses, just doing a very good job to hold down those angles, those do-or-die positions. And you see it from LG. They swung 3 players ready for trades, so they are still setting up for this aggression for the trade play. But when you're playing against a Reyna like that and you can't stop him and Shot Up continues to land those shots like that, it does get a little bit difficult for somebody like Moose, for example, that's going to try to get that kill right after, trying to figure out where Shot Up could be after the dismiss. He hears the audio, but probably doesn't have a chance to be able to put the crosshair at the right place to get the kill. So now, yes, Immortals, as they were struggling on the defender side, they finally, yeah, exactly, they get that round, and it comes down to a map point for Immortals, as LG will try to even things up now, their turn on the defender side.
Thief tried to float on the pipes, but saw the people coming, heard the footsteps as well. They're going to try to take out this wall. They get there just in time to take down the spike. Thief escapes and doesn't have to worry about the Reyna, who is waiting around the corner. Now, Shot Up does eventually get 3 on the round, because of course he does. But it's down to 1. It's Nature. The Venom goes down on the ground to try to make it harder. Nature's spotted out. They're going to go for the double peek. Double overtime incoming.
This is where it's getting scary, Bach, because Shot Up is starting to wake up. And when Shot Up is on fire, he starts to become unstoppable. That is 2 rounds in a row where he pretty much carried in the fragging department for his team. 2 rounds where he had a 3K, pretty much to give the chances for Immortals to try to get these rounds in the end. But if it's not for him, it's again down to those 1 versus 1s. It still stays pretty close for both of these teams, and now it's starting to get really exciting. You really want to know who's going to move forward right now. Who are you rooting for so far, actually, if you're a fan of Immortals or LG? I'm just rooting for how close and exciting this first map is.
You know, we talked about Moose, too, saying like, oh, Moose's performance has been so incredible on this map. Looking at some of the previous series he played, like the one against 100 Thieves. Look at Gangsta. Gangsta in the top position, a player that I don't think we would have necessarily picked out of the pack to be that strong performer. He's had so many big rounds for IMT. So we run round again. Again, you got to win 2 for anyone that's unfamiliar. You start with 5K. You reset your points to half. 5K gives you enough for an op purchase and nothing else. You are bare bones with that op. Here we've got Nature playing B-side defense. The boom bot's actually going to allow him to hang out in this position. He might be calling for some support, but it's actually going to be an A play. They are biting on this so hard. 4 players have pulled off because of the utility. The slow orb came through. The boom bot's there as well. It's now all up to Chemicals. You're putting faith in your anchored jet. It's going to come down to this exact... The first shot's right where it needs to be. So he'll get that kill and change positions and actually just get out of dodge. He'll surrender site control. Oh, the wall comes through. I thought he was trying to send it a different direction. but he actually walled off his teammates.
Yeah, it's a mistake for sure. You wanted to wall towards that screen. You're making it tough for yourself because now you have to cross out in the open. But thankfully, he makes it through. He gets the plant. He's out in the open and still wins the fight versus JC Stani. So that's healer down. Chemicals with the operator. Lands a second one onto Moose, but he's traded out by Stellar. The one that makes the mistake now protects himself from his mistakes and redeems himself from his mistakes for those 2 kills. But it's still your boy Dre on his own, and Gangsta stops him. And Immortals gets another round on defense and another map point. So we haven't seen a round yet where LG was able to take the upper hand. They still have to try to claw back.
That missed wall is so punishing. First, the shot comes through from Chemicals and a follow-up as well from the rafters. But the missed wall, it was, like you said, supposed to go out a little bit deeper, but it goes too shallow, and you actually saw them destroy their own wall, which is, like, brutal, because you realize in that moment, you're like, crap, like, this is the most useful piece of utility we have with this composition.
Yep.
It really is. That wall is so incredibly good on this map. And that's what potentially allows IMT to get back into that fight a little bit easier. So again, LG have to fight for another overtime.
Yeah, I also feel that you had a missed opportunity on the execution on the A side because they peeked out a little bit too early into Chemicals, where you wanted to wait for a Proto to throw those paint shells by the truck to really clear that spawn out of the area and then move more safely into the site. But the body peek, Thief was the first to fall with that.
Well, the plant coming through. As shot up, spots one going through, making this retake so much harder, and your boy Dre has been a big piece of their B-side retakes, frequently finding multi-kills, similar to an Omen from another team. Goes by the name of Nitro for 100 Thieves. A Proto, the first one trying to move in, looking for an angle, might just spot one here as the shock dart comes through. It actually hits the wall, and they can hide behind that for safety. A Proto stepping up big with Moose. The retake is working out like gangbusters. They've got it down to now 1, and the wall is in. There is nothing that can be done. We go back into OT again. There will not be an end to this game just yet.
You probably noticed that, okay, the kills were off camera, but before we actually went off camera, you saw how a Proto and Moose were kind of like dancing around that single wall that was still up. Kind of like just hugging a tree and defending that tree for their dear life, and it turns out to be the most crucial point in the obstacle to be able to get those kills, because you saw the slow jiggle peek that came out from a Proto. He's trying to fight towards that green side, and they're going back and forth. And finally, when the Owl Drone came out, or the Recon or whatever, he's like, oh crap, there's actually people about to swing. He dances around that pillar, has help from his teammate, and they're able to drop 3 kills right away to actually make this look like it was going to be an Immortals victory with their boy Dre dying early into the round. But now, the first one to die is Immortals. Finally, LG has an advantage and something in this map, and that is a 1-minute advantage. As they hold a default still towards the spawn, they throw an Owl Drone towards the A sign, and they're trying to bait out the rotation on that sign, and you already see JC Stani making his way. But look at that. The minimap, the overhead. Everybody's walking back towards the A side. It's going to be a single hold here from Nature, who does still have that one-way smoke on the right side of green, and he's focused on that left side of green for anybody that's going to try to lurk in.
And the clearest and closest person to try to offer some support is Sage, who's currently now moving into Halls, was in kitchen. The blast pack is what allows them to get past, but a Proto is dropped by JC Stani, who was up in that position. Wall's gonna come through. Your boy Dre plays on the other side and totally catches JC Stani off guard, who tried to go for a wall boost over top to try and prevent that spike from going down. And now it is a advantage for LG in the post plant, one that we haven't seen them have too many times. You've got 2 players for IMT trying to get back in. The shock dart is off the money. The follow-up shock dart isn't there either. And even shot up going for the peak against Stellar will end up dropping. It's now down to this. It's a 3-on-1. Gangsta's been so good this map, and the first kill will be his to grab. There's still 2 players that remain, but they aren't giving him anything. They aren't peeking. Able to isolate a 1v1 here. He knows where this last target is. Goes for the dart, but timing is becoming an issue. Has to go for the stick. Goes to get it halfway. Will get the kill, but doesn't actually get the spike to where he needed it. And even if he had, still wouldn't have won it. As you can see, he wasn't able to get that first half there on the follow-up anyway.
Still a nice try.
Round 15 is LG's, absolutely.
That's where it starts to get dangerous to say, look, Gangsta on the top of the board at 31. I was looking at his stats yesterday versus Gen G. He was also on the top of the board at 21 when they won against Gen G 13-6. Right? So now we're looking at potentially a triple overtime where he's currently still top of the leaderboard in terms of the fragging department for Gangsta. So getting those 3 kills, despite not getting the defuse, it's still going to be a message to send to say, we're not done yet. We could still come back into this game now that they take the attacker side. But in the end, though, that biggest kill, the most important one, was definitely your boy Dre, pushing aggressively on that wall, catching JC Stunning of Immortals off guard, and getting that kill for the control towards Orange. And speaking about advantage and map control, Thief pushed forward towards that A side to try to get an early pick. No damage is done because of the fence. He was landing on those wall, on the brim, or on the beams rather, and it allows Immortals to fall back here as they're booking it towards this B side.
You know, when they played each other last time as well, Gangsta was a top performer in that. When they played on Icebox, it was a 13-11 victory that time, though, for IMT. They were able to close things out in regulation. This time, obviously struggling. Heavy presence towards B long right now. No flank coming in this time. Everyone coming in through mid and from Snowman. Can IMT hold? Will we continue here in overtime? This is just the first map of the series. A Proto will spot out Shot Up as they tap the spike to try and bait out the remaining positions of these players. You've got your boy Dre playing on the other side of this wall. That's down. This wall is huge. They have to break through it. They're trying to get there to stop this defuse from happening. They've already got it to halfway, and they're able to come through in time. But it comes down to one remaining player. It's Stellar. It will be LG taking map 1, 16-14.
Defenders win.
Oh, that is one way to start this series, 16-14.
There, because we got to get through Ascent first.
And here's the thing about Immortals, though. On that previous map, it was chosen by LG. Immortals went through a big change to bring in Viper and a Sage for the first time in this tournament and still bring this into overtime. This is something new again. Shut Up, confirmed now playing as a breach for the team. Being able to make it 13-9 versus Gen G on something that probably has been practiced against for LG. This could still be a surprise on how Shot Up and company of Immortals are going to play the second map. So there's still a chance here to still see that third map, and where that third map, we'll talk about it later, but there has been some agent changes for that third map for on LG side. So we have nothing but surprises for both of these teams, a little bit of an ace under the sleeve, and we'll see if it will pay off this time now for Immortals.
As much as I want to see this go to a third map just so this series can continue to deliver with what we saw in map number 1, I am a little bit concerned for IMT just because of that last matchup. And I know, again, different agent composition, and time has passed. There's been an opportunity here for both teams to make adjustments, whether it's with the agent composition or positioning or just recon work, watching VODs, getting familiar with what teams are going to bring to the table. But I am worried a little bit for IMT that because they didn't pick up that first map, it could end here. We said it in the pregame. I was looking at that first map as the recipe for success for LG. They really could not afford to get to Bind. They have to win this 2-0, just because despite what they've done against other teams on Bind, I still look at IMT as a proficient Bind team and one that would give them serious struggles. But got to get through Ascent first, like we've been saying, and we're ready to kick things off here in the pistol. They're going to get a fast and easy A take. There is no presence whatsoever from LG. It will be a full-blown retake, 5-on-5 on the site.
Yeah, so that's what I talked about. Having now Shot Up as that breach, it's going to be able to set up chemicals for that flash and dash into the site. Clearing wine, clearing the site. Now post plant, but LG still gets the first blood on this second map. So Gangster falls and Thief is already on the flank. He's trying to get this kill, but it's traded off by chemicals. Still out of bullets, reloading on time for the second kill onto Moose. More action, Proto gets a 3K on his own, and now it's Shot Up in the back. Changing into the agent, good enough for a kill, but that is going to be it. Your boy Dre comes in for the defuse, and LG puts the point on the scoreboard.
Strong retake on the A site despite surrendering full site control. I'm sure that people are wondering why we're seeing so many frenzies. Well, again, this is pre-patch for the most recent patch, so the Frenzy is not exactly nerfed. The Stinger as well will also be strong. Now, I know the Frenzy wasn't really nerfed. It just had a price change, but it does affect the way that people approach those pistol rounds, so it does change the dynamic in general.
Yeah.
This round, though, is really when you really see the impact of that old patch. The Stingers will come out from both sides. The only one who's like, I want a little bit more gusto on the round is your boy Dre, who goes to the Bulldog. But we have seen a very high success rate on these second rounds coming from the team who lost the pistol, because they just end up in a one-to-one battle with their opposition. It's Stinger versus Stinger, or sometimes Spectre versus Stinger, but it seems to be working out quite nicely, and you can see some of that conversion here early on. Sure, they lose a player from that cat play, with Thief hitting some incredible shots with the Spectre, but the Stinger is also equally as powerful.
Wow.
Now, Chemicals has to switch to the sidearm and go for the leaping shot, but we're at a 3-on-3 right now, so the numbers are even, and the damage is favoring IMT. They're in a great position.
In itself. Sorry, Bach, but that battle on itself on Catwalk was just beautiful. The dismiss to hide away from Chemicals, and as Chemicals is chasing him down, you have a flash coming in from Shot Up to prevent Thief from getting any trades from the tree side from his teammate moving up, and it went in a back and forth, and it still becomes a stalemate. I just love how the exchange went down.
That's the kill they needed from Shot Up. He got the first one in mid for Immortals, and now he gets a second to open up access to the B site. You've got Moose coming in. Here's the updraft. Tries to take advantage and does. It was a little sloppy, and as a result, Moose is very low on HP. Has to be careful about this target that leapt up on the sidewalk and is even dodging bullets that are coming through the wall. There's the Owl drone to give away that position. Takes out the first Nano Swarm, but the second one will get triggered before there's time. Recon Dart to go in and give away the position of one on site. Not prepared for Nature, who's back site. And this is exactly what we were talking about. The high success rate of that second round for the team who lost Pistol. And you might even see it here for the team who won Pistol, as we should see another force come in for LG with Stingers in the mix for them as well.
And the thing for Shot Up is, yes, he could set up players like Chemicals at the beginning of the round for Pistol, but that last round was him getting entries into mid site, into B site, and even getting a third kill inside that site. And I love the bait. He let himself get pinged so they could try to chase him out by default, which now leaves Nature out in the open on an off angle to get that kill onto Sidewalk. Very well played here for Immortals. And not only that, you're one orb away of getting the ultimate here for Immortals' Breach, which is Shot Up. They might fight for it, they might pick it up, or it just might be an explosion, knowing that they have the opportunity here with the weaponry. So Shot Up gets another entry. He does load up the Rolling Thunder, but he gets picked off in the process. And meanwhile, the last two guys are still rotating from B main, from mid side and from defender spawn, and it's going to be a 3 versus 2 for Immortals.
So LG didn't actually go for that force that we typically see. They decided to spend a little bit less, which is somewhat surprising, but it's not entirely terrible for them right now. The ADS Spectre will net something for the side of IMT, as it's now down to the last target. It's Thief, who's hiding inside a dark cover, waiting for an opportunity to send a bullet to the dome of one of these players. There is a pistol in his hands and 2 targets right to his left. Did they clear this corner? No. So actually able to get 1, 2, 3! Thief punishing with the kills. The round is lost, but that is an expensive one. Goes back to pick up the Stinger and drops a couple of dimes on a dead body as well.
You want to die with
Stinger not really of great value because they want the rifles in the next round. This is incredible pistol work from Thief.
That is even a nice camera angle to get those 3 kills too. Well job here. Well done for the second observer. But yeah, getting those 3 kills, letting himself die so that he could actually get the max bonus here, which is going to be 2,400 instead of only 1,000 credits if he stayed alive with the weaponry, which allows him now to get Phantom. And those 2 kills, or 3 kills rather, that he had allows for him to invest into his Devourers and into his Leers. So he's good looking at the utility for Thief. But this round, like I said, They have the Rolling Thunder ready. All 5 of them already set up here towards the A side. Look at that. That's going to hit all 3 of them. It's going to be an open sight now for Immortals to flash and dash into the site. Chemicals at the point. It's going to be a cloud burst towards Heaven side, and that's going to calm things up. Well, check that out. It's actually Thief running through the smoke, gets the kill and dismisses away. Tries to go in for a second one, but it's traded off. Now we're just going trade after trade. It's out towards the Heaven side. Just to sum it up, it's a 1-minute advantage for LG on the retake. The spike has not been planted, yet the spike has been dropped. Now your boy Dre also drops into the site, spots the last opponent to make it a 2 versus 1 as Nature capitalizes on that kill. 1 onto the Heaven side, 1 at the dice. The crossfire is set up as Nature is dancing around the generator. He goes for the peak. He does not get the kill onto Moose, and LG ties it up 2-2.
Nature with only 7 bullets there as well had to make every single one of them count if the clutch was going to come through. That was a massive ult. The Rolling Thunder hit 4 players for IMT. You can see the last one, for LG, excuse me, the last one was Moose trying to come through from Heaven, caught the tail end of it and just got bopped up. That should have worked out so much better for Immortals. They should have been able to capitalize on that, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
Moose on the B site, looked like he wanted to send a shock dart into B main, decides not to. Chemicals is going to pop the ult here, and they'll lead in with the Blade Storm as well. Nice paranoia coming out from Market, and that's going to be Chemicals going out over top, and they're like, yeah, that's cute and all, but we've seen that before.
Yep.
So this round just falls apart for IMT. I like the thought process and the approach, but every bit of intel was gathered from LG to prevent that from ever being a threat.
That was a pure definition of Moose and eProto playing clay pigeon shooting pretty much into that B site when Chemicals dashed into there. Like you said, they've seen it before. I feel that it was something that came into a surprise when Gen G started doing that with the dashes from Win into the site, but now it's become too common where against these ecos, that's why you don't see them playing so close, or at least on that staircase. They know that Chemicals or anybody else as a jet in the future could try to go for these fancy dashes when the when the Blade Storm is ready. And speaking about how they play this round too, we've seen this before from LG when they had the showstopper coming out towards that mid side against 100 Thieves, and at the same time the paranoia was thrown on that B main, but it does not connect. Immortals was ready for that. They held all the way back towards spawn, and now they try to fight back, but Moose with his control towards B main gets the Hunter's Fury and connection onto Shut Up.
The aggressive play from your boy Dre also doesn't cost him his life. He's somehow able to get out of tiles. He knew that one was top mid. That's why that ult went back in that direction. Good shot coming in as well, squeezing it right over top of the ledge. And that's the spike being dropped as well. Hearing that thud, knowing that it's time to lock down that position. Your boy Dre moving up now closer to tiles. They've got these players pretty much stitched into an easy spot to close out the round. Gangsta's playing inside dark cover, trying to wait for it to dissipate, catch somebody that might be trying to sneak up into it. But Gangsta should fall here momentarily. Nature by their side as well. Position given away by a recon dart, counter recon dart coming out. That'll give away your boy Dre's position, but not in this spot. Able to tuck into that corner and dodge the pulse. That results in a kill on a Nature. Gangsta's the only one left standing. Will at least execute his counterpart on the other side, so Moose will fall in the Sova v Sova battle. Gangsta's time was not long for this world. Even if he manages to find a kill in mid, he was being flanked from spawn by the Reyna. So it's LG who looked good there in yet another round. And it started with that aggressive play from your boy Dre.
Exactly. The aggressive play from your boy Dre, like I said, the combo into that B link from the showstopper on mid and the paranoid towards B main. They don't get any type of kills at the beginning, but at least they gain map control. Look how far after that your boy Dre was able to make it down towards that mid side, even past the Rosa staircase in that corner to surprise that Omen on the take here for Immortals. So that allows now LG to just control that section, pinch out and not gaining any map control for Immortals to actually try to get any type of execution. And with that, you get no kills for Immortals. You're on a save, you're on an eco, you have a couple of shares, and you're just going to try to split into this A side where they spot the first guy here towards this A main, but they're not going to be able to capitalize on it yet because a nice paranoia came out.
Again, LG trying to stop an A-side push, but they've suffered severe casualties. The blast pack right into the face of Shot Up. will push him back a bit, but it doesn't do the damage necessary. Shock darts coming in around the corner, and that's actually shot up, delivering yet again. Now, the Owl drone will give away the position, but it's a stun coming in onto Moose. That makes it impossible for him to peek. Nice flash coming out as well from Shot Up. That'll allow him to get back and scoop up the spike. Now it's a one-on-one. If he can get this and then go plant elsewhere, he'll have his ult available. So he'll have Rolling Thunder available, and maybe not necessarily for this round, but it will be for a round that follows. He's going to be heading on over to the B site, forcing Moose's hand into that rotate. And you can see Moose is sticking with what he knows. This is something we've seen before. Teams are less likely to rotate off this site despite the fact that they know the spike is gone, because they have to play with what they've got, not with what they might have somewhere else. And now he's starting to realize clock is too far gone. He would have heard footsteps already. The rotate starts to come through. The position is aggressive coming in from Shot Up. He's very close. Man. He does go for the Rolling Thunder, and it does work out. It's a risky play. Very ballsy with the placement of the spike in general, but it favors IMT off the back of the hard work from Shot Up.
Like I said, he could still play that agent like a duelist so far, because even when you look at his KDA versus Gen G, he didn't have that many assists. He was just on the top of the board with the frag department. So he's playing that very well for Shot Up, and to be able, like you said here, Bach, to have that awareness to say, look, I could go for this orb, I could go for the plant, I could get a Rolling Thunder. You're playing to a point where on a 1 versus 1, you know your opponent is trying to book it into the site, has a recon dart, thinking that you might be playing close towards the back of the site. So you're playing close staircase, get the positional advantage, and get the Rolling Thunder to win a 1 versus 1. A perfect way to use it, in my opinion, at that point, because he, of course, got a victory for that round. So now with this round, an ultimate going into the B site. There is no stoppage from Moose. Well, actually there is, because there's shock darts. I was going to say there's no Runner's Fury to take it, but they practice those darts. There's a reason why these guys are sitting in these servers day in and day out to be able to cancel these ults. So that also cancels the push from Immortals into the B side, where they're running into Thief, holding towards the B lane, and that's a triple kill for him.
I thought Thief might have even been able to get more out of that. The Boombot goes around the corner. They know that Nature's here. A reload comes through, tries to get time in for the battle against the Rays. Your boy Dre steps up in the absence of their Reyna, who found 3 kills on the round. Patience on the trigger pull. Even with the pulse, Nature was able to hit this shot, but this was great positioning from Thief. Thought maybe we'd see a dismiss here, but wants to go for that 4K, wants the guarantees, wants the stats, wants the glory. 11-5 for Thief, who's currently top of the scoreboard. Just beneath him is your boy Dre, the player who mopped up the rest of the kills in that last round. LG, they won the pistol, lost the anti-eco, lost the round that followed. They've only lost 1 round since then, though. They're up 5-3 currently. As again, you see Tile's presence here, and Thief wants to just get off a catwalk, realizing that there's too much firepower already in mid. So mid control gained here for IMT, at least to a certain degree. They haven't gotten past the arches, they haven't gotten to Kench Venture Market, but they've got pretty good positioning currently.
What good position is on this mid side with those shares. But for LG, you see how passively they're playing it. They're having even one player jumping back and forth that's Moose on top of the fountain so that they could scout it out and maybe even double wallbang it in the end. But as they leave this mid side open, because there's no trap wires set in that area, you see that A-Pro is already setting it towards that sidewalk and also towards the staircase. They want to leave it open. They have one player playing towards the spawn, and that's going to be Stellar to spot it. But well done here for Immortals to smoke that out and allow for this mid to be split. Thing is, though, Recon Dart's going to come back onto the B main, and it's still going to be a Proto that gets dropped by Chemicals rushing into the site. So now with only one player alive, waiting for his teammates to come across, that's Moose. They're all up and cuddled up here towards this defender spawn side as the spike gets planted towards an open B site, and a retake attempt is coming out.
There's the ult being popped, the rocket. Oh, somehow he came back out around the corner. So the rocket actually does damage to the target that was on sidewalk. An unintentional kill, but it works out quite nicely. Somehow that rocket works, and it makes things a little bit more palatable. Still, though, it's IMT that comes out on top of the post-plant scenario in B, but look at where this rocket landed.
I was going to say, I see you scratching his head because he's behind the wall.
He's on the other side. I thought he came out from sidewalk.
Look at this.
It just kills him on the other side. Did it hit? It must have hit the top of the wall enough. I want to see where that rocket went. No, it's like the middle of the wall. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. But it worked. It worked for at least the 2 kills with the showstopper, but it also worked for Immortals to be able to win and secure that round with the Sheriffs that they had. So on an eco, on a rush to surprise attack, LG on the defense, and also having the perfect placement of the smokes to not allow LG to help out a Proto on that rush into the B side, allow them to get that round. So 5-4, 4 rounds on the attack. You're still pretty happy here for Immortals. Now Thief looking to potentially die as he's getting pinged and pulsated by one at least pulse of the Hunter's Fury, and as he goes for the Leer, the rifle missed actually from Chemicals and he dashes away. So somehow, this is the second time that Thief in that corner is able to survive so luckily, and he manages to now finally make it back into tree. But in the process, you have one player that died for either side into this mid side for LG and Immortals.
A little scrappy in the early round. Still got a player playing on B. A Proto has a high cam to just get some intel. All he has to do is sit on this cam to try to spot them out. They can't see his position coming through as he's in Boathouse currently. And he'll be able to ping one. Nope, he actually just fires a dart. Thought we might see just the cam pings calling out numbers. He's going to get some backup from Moose, who's going to send in a recon dart. That'll give away their positions as they try to make their way up the sidewalk. Moose actually with a wall bang onto Gangsta. And now it's a Proto backside who comes up empty-handed, despite all of that time to sit in position and anchor down the site. Not able to do so. The Nano Swarm does cut off the sidewalk rotate momentarily. And look at the threat currently hiding inside this smoke. It's Chemicals with the knives out, waiting to right-click a target. Should they come through, there's one dancing on the other side of it. It's Thief. It's just a matter of time as these two face off. Again, it's a game of chicken, and ultimately it's Chemicals to bail first, but his team is stepping up around him. They don't even need the knives. It's JC, Stani, and Nature to bring us to tie point.
I think Immortals finally starting to step up here in this game, Bach. It looked like LG was going to run away with it when they had that control towards mid-side a few rounds ago with that combo, the Showstopper and Paranoia, like I mentioned before. But somehow, just off that clutch, that shot up head at some point with that Sheriff and that 1 versus Moose, it allowed for Immortals to gain that momentum back and gain the the calmness to be able to come back into this game to make it a 5-on-5 scoreline. Now into this round, though, we do have some sort of a mid-control to start things off. We did have a smoke towards Catwalk, so you have a double peek coming in from Link and also towards back mid for Immortals. Now the Owl Drone trying to clear out that camera. They're going to shoot it out at the same time. So very well done here for a Proto to not allow for any information to be gathered from the Owl Drone towards that B main. But meanwhile, we see one falling, one pushing forward. That's Thief also dying at Gelato, courtesy of Chemicals. 2 on the board for him. As now Immortals, sensing that it's a weaker site towards the A side, they book it as a 5-man bio ball.
Stellar is still in position on Heaven. You gotta go for that peek, I guess. Yeah. Goes for the swing out from the boxes. Only able to get one as they start to transgress onto the server. You only got one left standing. It's Moose, who's on the other side of dark cover that's fading. A strong round from Immortals, who's trying to put an exclamation point at the end of this first half with a nice little sprint of rounds to give them control of the scoreboard. 6-5 they're currently up, and if we take a look at the scoreboard here, we'll see where the credits sit at. I'm kind of curious how much money they've got at their disposal. We'll see a full buy come through. Thief has 6,000. Even has enough to maybe consider an AWP purchase, but doesn't decide to. Just wants to go with the rifles. That's actually something we talked about, right? Yeah. We didn't really see a whole lot of AWP play from Chemicals on this map. And with Thief switching to Reyna and not playing the Jet, it's something we're not going to see from them either. A 5-rifle setup is standard for both teams.
And that's the thing, and that's something that LG also really doesn't do much, is to have a Jet into any maps but basically Icebox, and not really bring any of the operators on the defender side besides that map, as I just mentioned. So they really go with the rifles. They try to go for that trade setup, as I mentioned, all the time. And it works out in their favor. But Immortals, having, again, shot up, playing as that breach is helping Immortals a lot. Getting these entries, getting the site control into the B side. And speaking about site control, it is going to be an ultimate Killjoy into B entrance. And this time the shot darts do not connect because he places it at a different position. that allows now Nature to come in and get the kill onto your boy Dre. Nano Swarm towards that front. Oh, he bounces off the wall, so it misses. Paranoia, but at least as the Swarm Grenade comes out, it doesn't allow the defenders of LG to push through that spawn site. So that's time wasted, courtesy of Nature and the plant coming in for Immortals.
Immortals now with just one target standing in their way. 7-5 in that first half that went around the wall. It definitely kind of stunned our brains for a second. Couldn't help but talk about it, but we've got a second half to focus on here, Vansili, and it is LG who is down 7-5 currently. Now, in comparison to the last time these two teams matched, identical scoreline. LG was on the defense. They hit 7 rounds on the defense, 5 for their opposition though, so it was a little bit different. They had the advantage. And now it's IMT who's in that position. Nice flash coming out from Shot Up to open things up. A follow-up as well. Those breach flashes so incredibly strong, but not strong enough, as LG now has control of the site. But you haven't gotten out across, and they haven't gotten the spike planted yet.
And the thing is, he's setting himself up with these flashes, and he's still able to get the kill. So that was one to fall early into the round. That was Thief. As now your boy Dre, as we're moving back into the site for Immortals. Couple of ghosts actually from Gangsta that's able to drop 2. But it's still going to be Immortals on the retake that's going to be a little bit stronger. You see the change of pace of how they both attacked on that A site for both LG and Immortals. Immortals on the first tap, they had the flash and dash, courtesy of Shut Up and Chemicals to move into the site. This time for LG, as they don't have a breach, they don't have a jet, they go for the Paranoia down towards the generator. They have the smoke into the cross. And what really helped LG on that pulse plant to make sure nobody runs through the smoke is the first person that makes it through the generator after it's flashed, he's watching that doorway with Moose so that they could actually crossfire and not allow anybody from Immortals to run through. But after the plan was shambled by Shot Up with a single flash and a setup for the kill. Now they have to focus back towards Heaven, and that was the window opening to allow Immortals to move inside the site and dominate LG on a retake. So they take the lead by 3 this time by winning the pistol and looking to put a 9th on the board as they had the weapons advantage. Actually, it's Stingers versus Stingers. We have the force up now.
Not entirely surprised to see it. We've talked about it before. Again, this is prior to the most recent patch that did see the Stinger get a little bit of a hefty nerf. We will find ourselves at 3-on-3. Nice shock dart coming through, but I think they actually dodged the damage, getting just outside of the radius of that lightning blast. Gangsta's going to see them coming through on long. They know he's around the corner. Still able to stick in this position. Switches to the sidearm. Doesn't really stand a chance against a Stinger at that distance. Now, they've got the spike, and they know that the positions of these 2 remaining players are where they're at. Now, the interesting thing is they don't go for that orb grab, despite having full control of that. They know that these remaining 2 should be coming in. They're keeping the Killjoy close enough to the turret so that the turret will still remain active. So if they do try to take this A site, they should be spotted out by that. And with low HP,
30
unless they go
seconds.
tree.
Proto
If
as
they
well.
go tree, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, this could be bad here. A Proto could potentially drop to this if he goes for the peek on the site. It looks like they're just going to stick behind this one. They hear the turret in position. He does actually take a few shots, down to 7 HP, so it cuts his few remaining hit points in half.
I have retrieved
And they're
the
going to
spike.
toss the spike over to him
10
for him to
seconds left.
stick that spike, as he's got a little bit more help coming from the person covering with full HP. As he dodges the blast coming out through the wall, the flash will come through that allows Shot Up onto the site. There's no surprise there. And it's down to the last remaining player. It's your boy Dre from inside hell, able to survive long enough to find both remaining targets. LG fire back and respond with the Stinger buy.
It is so rare that I see like a... It was close to a Spirit transfer there because he did stop shooting between both opponents, but hearing and knowing that Nature was coming around the corner and still able to land that second one to get the headshot. Thankfully, it's close range too, so the amount of bullets left into the clip was good enough to damage his second player, but well done for LG on that force buy, as well as starting things off with that entry on that tree side to really keep Immortals guessing on the rotations of what was going to happen. So great display of patience for LG, great 2 versus 2, and great communication to also make the person that's low on HP to go for the plant instead, and he went for a safe plant, and it just played individually and played for themselves. So very well done for your boy Dre to clutch that 2 versus 1, and to make it 8-6, putting Immortals now on an eco, and on this eco, they actually left the A side open. They really didn't want it to focus a lot onto this B side, the mid side, and potentially maybe even an Owl Drone or a Recon Dart that's going to come out towards Tree, and they're going to try to pinch out towards this mid side in the end.
So the thing is, too, at that distance, the Stinger only does 67 damage for a headshot.
Yep.
So it's 134 for 2 consecutive shots. So if that player had full body armor and head armor, it would actually take 3 headshots, which I believe we saw. So it kind of illustrates just the fact that they're that close doesn't make it necessarily easy. We'll see the turret come down from nature on the other side of the door. It's creative placement that gets it out in front of the door to at least help slow down and change positions here. Thief is going to get one through a dart cover. Compliments of a recon dart that gave away the position, and now Thief just wants to go for the peek on this. Nice cloud burst to at least give them an opportunity to dive into the site, but it is a flawless round coming in from LG, following up off the back of what was that second round. Now, this is exactly what Immortals did to them in the first half. LG won pistol, then lost the 2 rounds after, and then they came into the next round and bought. We'll see if IMT is going to have what they need to actually do that. They do have a really strong buy coming in comparison to what LG is going to be fielding.
You saw there that Thief is really hunting down to try to get those kills, and unfortunately it was just held back by a Proto and Moose on the post plant, which is good enough. You know, you care for the kills, but you also care for the victory. Putting 1 point away, an aggressive peek from a Recon Dart, and now also pulsating out with the Hunter's Fury to allow 2 players to push at the same time, but after the one-way, it's going to calm down right after that. They just didn't want to commit any further because the other pings coming out from the Hunter's Fury did not connect with any pings or any kills. So we're trying to fight it back. We're really trying to get this A main control, and that's actually 3 more players of LG trying to push them back. They managed to do so, but we'll see if they want to capitalize later on a split into this A side. I like that.
Great. I like what they did in general to kick this round off. You know, you saw the double peek on long in conjunction with Hunter's Fury. They're going to be worried about those pulses coming through the wall, and they're going to be distracted, so they go for the double swing. They get full long control out of it. It's a nice start to the round. It didn't net maybe as much as Immortals was hoping for. They're hoping that there's 2 to 3 targets there, and they can peek and just punish. But it doesn't work out that way, and in the end, they've still got control, so it's okay. The 5-on-3, there's 2 targets trying to work up Cat, 2 targets playing defense in that territory. Nice shots coming in from your boy Dre with the Bulldog. You can hear the double tap to the skull of JC Stanny. And they're trying to move into position here. The reload comes through at the worst possible time as Shot Up goes for the swing off of that flashpoint. 9-7, Immortals literally copying that first part of the first half. They win the pistol, lose the 2 rounds after, win the buy that comes in. That's exactly what LG did in the first half, losing the 2nd and 3rd round, winning the 4th in the pistol.
Yeah, that's one of those small things. I think when that gun was picked up there by your boy Dre, and he spotted his opponent on the A side first. He had 10 bullets shot to, he had 8, and he thought that he was going to be too low and was safe to reload, but those 8 bullets definitely would have been enough to fight against that face-to-face battle of Shut Up that once again sets himself up. A self-flash from the peek out and even get a double kill on top of that. It's going to make things difficult here if you have a player like Shut Up continuously playing towards his tree side, towards his mid side, to fight against him when he's able to aim the way that he does. On top of that, he has a Rolling Thunder into this round. So if you do have some sort of heavy aggression towards this mid to be split, there's that Rolling Thunder that's going to stop them.
Both being popped and ultimately canceled. There's Hunter's Furies coming out as well as a showstopper, Rolling Thunder, everything being spent in this round, and it's favoring LG currently. They've got a 5-on-3. Gangsta looking to spot if a player is inside that smoke or not. They aren't. It'll be a 5-on-3, and they've still got Empress and Neural Theft available. Thief with a great shot and a dismiss as well. That's a punishing blow because it looked like at that point Immortals had already made up their minds they were going to save. So every body they can take is of the utmost importance, especially when you drop 3 on the round compared to just 2, because that lopsides the ability to drop weapons for your teammates. Gangsta in Garden right now, sitting up on top of the box. Your boy Dre is just hitting everything necessary, and as Chemicals gets around the corner, he literally splits his targets like field goal posts, and it's right through the uprights. It's 9-8, the score staying close.
You see that showstopper and that Rolling Thunder that came right away, but unfortunately, the timing on the Rolling Thunder and the satchel charges moving forward, you see how it barely missed your boy Dre moving into the site, and that was the biggest kill to allow them to get that round. And you see right away after that post plant on a 5 versus 3, kind of like any other tactical that you're trying to play, it's like, what? It's so hard to retake a site when there's a full roster still alive and you're at a disadvantage into numbers. But I even like it more for LG that they hunted them down. They wanted to go for these kills. They want to make sure that Immortals is going to be on the lowest buy as possible into this round. So we see a couple of Stingers, a couple of Sheriffs, and this is a potential to tie things up again. So we're wondering if it's going to be a one-sided map for Immortals as they look so good versus LG in the past. And the last time that they played versus LG, they actually lost 7-13. So to see this now at 9-8 in favor of Immortals, you're just happy as a series overall has been so close in the 2 first maps so far.
LG looking for an opening on A. Very passive play currently. It looks like they're setting up for an explode trap with Chemicals on high. They've got double flash capability. The knives come out, but the Leer is what's going to force Chemicals out of position. The flashpoint from ShotUp combined with the paranoia does at least produce some results here for IMT. And ShotUp's getting ready to drop that aftershock down as well to try and keep them away. Now the spike is going to get scooped up. Oh, look at the setup. There's the flash coming through. That's going to blind the Cypher. JC Stani can't quite escape into this smoke. So again, scrappy early round play style. Both teams suffering casualties as a result.
30 seconds left.
But the spike is still in control of LG, and they are booking it, heading over to the B site.
I still like it for Immortals at this point. Just hold your grounds. Even then, when you hear the spike plan, you could even move down for the second player to try to move up and get that weapon, which is going to be Gangsta. So he picks up here a Stinger, can maybe upgrade into something more towards the A main if he wanted to, but they decide to both fall back and try to take back this B side instead. So they have the fault line that has been regenerated here for their breach. ShotUp also still has a flash, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we have the recon dart that should be available fairly soon. If not, you see it up already. But Thief is in a great position outside this B main. His teammate is just around the corner on the sidewalk, so they have a perfect crossfire for any type of double peek that they want to do towards this side. And Thief he says, I don't need your help. I got this. 2 taps in the face, ShotUp and Gangsta falls, and we're tied up 9-9.
Thief just so incredibly good in these scenarios. Plays this angle and just a quick 5 bullets coming out to get these last couple of kills. You can see he makes it look almost easy. Just a quick bop onto the last 2 targets. 9-9, all tied up. We do have the full buy coming in. Finally gonna see that op. This is the first round. We're in round 19, mind you, and we're finally seeing an op purchase. It's not all that uncommon, and it's very similar to the time that these 2 teams played against each other in the first closed qualifier in Challengers 1. So not shocked or surprised at all to see that be the case here. And it nets early success for Chemicals, who hits a great shot onto the first target. The Lear's going to push him back, but they can't get to the switch to try and shut that door. So he's still a looming threat, and that is going to show itself right there. Great shots coming out. Spotsman going down the stairs, even though he misses. The close target, he's going to get that one too. Flashed and jumping with a classic. It's just what Chemicals does best. 4K on the round, survives with 5 HP, but a solid stop off the back of the op purchase.
Yeah, and a little bit more questionable on the body peek too from your boy Dre. When you still have Stellar alive, even when they made it into the site, I didn't see any type of flashes going into that market, which then allows Chemicals to get that 4K that he wants to be on top of the scoreboard when ShotUp now. So I feel that there was a little bit of a off timing on how they wanted to run into the site for LG, or what the focus was exactly. Is it going to be like, hey, let's just body peek and try to fight into market and surprise potentially ShotUp that usually plays there? But positioning Chemicals on different areas of the map on different rounds, whether it be towards that mid side, whether it was towards B main, this time it's towards A main, which is something that was actually pretty potent for Immortals versus Gen G. Where now that Chemicals has the operator, he kind of keeps them guessing right now for Gen G. He could potentially do the same thing right now for LG and try to help Immortals move this into the third map. But LG on the other end this time for this round decides to avoid the A side. They gamble up towards B, so they're not going to come into the opposition of the operator from Chemicals, and they're going to walk back towards the B side. But look at the amount of utility that's set up now for Nature at that B main. The Owl drone could potentially spot Reyna. No, it's not going to spot him, so Thief is going to be able to be okay, and we'll see if his execution is going to be stopped now by the utility.
Drone flies in looking for that intel. Not going to spot anything just yet. There's one player playing on site, currently just waiting for them to get onto the site, but they're not there just yet. Hunter's Fury coming through. Oh, that nade could be huge. The Boombot is well behind it, but they actually managed to dodge a significant portion of that damage, and the Hunter's Fury isn't as on point as one would have expected. They've also got this player kind of stitched into the corner inside the switch house. And despite everything, Immortals is holding on quite well here. It's down to Thief, who's got the ult pop, the heals coming through. Dismissed to get across. Oh, I love it. But with 13 seconds left, really has to make up ground here. Knows there's one more on the site. Spots them out as well. Running out of time, has to take the battle. Has to reload. It's not going to work out so well. IMT find round number 11 off an impressive stop on the B site. Despite everything they sent towards spawn, they somehow didn't find a single one of those kills with the nade, the Boombot, or the Hunter's Fury.
And it was still very patient, at least, for Immortals, because after all that and everybody was safe, they didn't really want to try to push back into the site right away. Reason why is because of where your boy Dre was at, and because of the Hunter's Fury, nobody was paying attention to a Proto, and he actually was able to walk up all the way to the staircase where he could potentially trade out his teammates, if your boy Dre died towards Switch. Meanwhile, we also had a flanker towards spawn side. Immortals said, look, they're going to try to push us back because they know we have 3 players towards spawn, so they wait for the pushes, they get those kills, and now they eagerly force LG to come out and gain that map control towards that site because nobody made it towards the back of the site yet while Nature was still hanging out there. So very well done for Immortals on that hold, despite them giving all that map control. Now LG's in the lead by 2. The Boombot has been cancelled, where we still have a great position from Gangsta at the entrance of the A side. But then for Immortals for LG, after the execution there and the utility that was spent, they decide to fall back towards the mid control and catwalk.
JC Stunny just jiggle peeking on this position. The dart's going to give away his position. That's going to force him out of the spot, but they still have the flash, double flash, actually. Nice nade to go in. That cuts off, shot up from his teammate. But it's actually Moose that hits a brutal shot onto Chemicals. That's the op now taken away. Again, remember, that was really important to them on that B side stop previously. And speaking of the B site, it's empty.
30 seconds
so they've got
left.
full access to B. They're clearing everything out. Moose does end up dropping on the backside of the play, but it will be a 4-on-4 retake. Now, they do have lockdown. Depending on where they decide to put this, there's opportunity here, especially with Moose out, because they won't have those shock darts to help take it out of play. There's a nice flash coming in from Shot Up. He's been doing it all game, but he will drop early, and it's down to a 2-on-2 yet again. And one of those players is on a long flank coming through from spawn. Nice blast pack to get your boy Dre out of that position. They know where this spike is, and it's planted open for your boy Dre. He's just jumping currently, clearing out that target, and it's actually a brilliant double peek as well. You see JC Stani take his aim towards the player's stairs, and in that time, your boy Dre comes up sidewalk. It's a rough round. Only one player survives, but it's a win for LG nonetheless. But look what it does to the money. Both teams are in a bad spot economically.
And you mentioned it when you mentioned that Nature had his lockdown getting ready for the retake. They recognized that for LG. At the pulse plant, everybody pushed up towards the staircase and also towards sidewalk to go towards market. And that recon dart pinged one. The flash was perfect there for Shot Up. But in the end, because they were so aggressive for LG, they managed to regain control of the market side, and even on top of that, kill Nature, which made things very difficult for the retake coming back into the site for Immortals. So well done for LG. But look at this round. 5 ultimates ready here for Immortals. So you have the Hunter's Fury that could actually stop any type of plans that might happen towards the site. He might go for a ping and a pulse towards the main. There's just a lot of utility being that's available for Immortals to actually secure the tie point in the second map for this defender side now.
Curious to see. I didn't get a chance to look what the buy actually looked like for both teams, but I can't imagine it's going to be
you saw
awesome.
Bulldog Stingers and such, pretty
Stingers,
low.
So it's not going to be fantastic. So you'll probably see that Jet ult saved for the round that follows if IMT is unsuccessful here. Even if IMT wins the round, you still might see it where Chemicals drops a weapon and rocks that ult. But Chemicals does have the op here. Uh-oh, picked off potentially? No, nice tailwind to get away. The rocket does damage, but not much. Dropping him down to 86, going for the peak. There's a Leer in the way. But it's Gangsta again with that ult, who's gonna get two.
There you go.
A strong conversion off Hunter's Fury. You mentioned that being at their disposal. They've got the spike down too. That's a problem. There's 10 seconds left. They need to jump up, grab that spike, and go for the plant. And Chemicals is already in position, trying to get onto the site to deny it. So now it's all up to your boy Dre. In this position, throws the nade down. Chemicals delivers with the shot before it can detonate. 4 players survive for IMT, a very strong round. They do use some ults, but not nearly as much as they had at their availability. They grab round number 12, and LG now has their backs heavily against the wall.
Point.
Exactly. We talk about, and you talked about Gangsta as well, where people maybe don't praise him enough, but he's like the triple-double right now. 14, 16, 11 in the map, but also he's one of those players as a Sova that I find is kind of like Hiko when he's throwing those Hunter's Fury. He's good for one, and he's usually good for one, and oftenly does get 2 kills with the Hunter's Fury as well. So utilizing 2 right now to be able to secure the tie at least in a second map, but now having 2 of the best ultimates for retakes at your disposal with 2 rounds in hand on the defender side, it's looking like the chances are going to be for Immortals to bring this into a third map. Now, LG, though, they've been in the same situation on the first map, and we talk about their tenacity. They still have what it takes here to try to bring this into overtime if they can again.
One of the problems for them over the last couple of rounds has been Chemicals with the op. We talked about it before. LG does not have a strong op presence, and while Chemicals will frequently go to a rifle over an op, definitely has a bit of a one-up here over LG in favor of IMT, especially on this map where you don't have Thief on Jet. You've got Thief playing Reyna, so kind of less of an op presence there, as the Reyna need to have a rifle in the hand, especially with Empress. That ult is so much more powerful, obviously, when the rifle rate gets increased. They're trying to take tree room control, and they do convert on the first kill. They gain control, but now they have to worry about this. The Killjoy ult, lockdown coming through. They're going to rely on Moose. Does he have the lineups? Because I have a feeling we're going to see everything thrown. You can see the lockdown being dropped on Lamps. You've also got the Rolling Thunder coming through, and they already used the Shock Darts. Heaven, 1 HP remaining for that target in Heaven.
Oh my god.
The lockdown is canceled, and it's just chaos on the site as the retake is trying to come through, but they're getting aggressive. Shot up with 1 HP. Still manages to get at least 1 kill coming through from Tree Room, but look how much time has expired. Look how much they used on this as well. The final kill from your boy Dre. That is a huge round for LG, because IMT threw everything they could at that site to stop that, and they still could not.
Yeah. And it was everything to actually go for that retake, right? It was so powerful, and I even think the Rolling Thunder hit a couple of guys, but it came down to that lurk that you had from a Proto on that tree side, not checking on the right. He gets that kill with the Sheriff, of course, of all guns. You're not surprised, but they're still able to break down the lockdown, which then nullifies the Rolling Thunder that was thrown towards Heaven's side. I was surprised by that too. I thought it would just be a lockdown for this round. If it fails, then at least they have the Rolling Thunder for this round here to secure the win. But they really just wanted to secure that that victory right away. That didn't pay off. And now it's going to be no ultimates left here for Immortals. While here, for the LG side, they have that Hunter's Fury that's ready for Moose. And as they're lingering back towards his mid side, I wouldn't be surprised if you go for this pick for the Hunter's Fury inside tree and to try to split into the A side here.
They found success by entering into tree last round. What does Chemicals have currently in Heaven? That's the question. You can see Chemicals playing actually up on top of the box. It's a ballsy position. Will Chemicals be able to connect on this first shot and then get out of dodge quickly? You know he's relying on that tailwind. There's the recon dart. They're not going to see his position. Oh, the flash, the Leer. So perfect, so flawlessly executed onto the site for LG. They're still trying to gain site control. but they've managed to make it out, and they've got everything they need set up in the post plant. Shock darts slowing down the push coming in from heaven. JC Stunny now pushed forward while Shot-Up's pushed back as the nade land between them, splitting them like the Red Sea. They're going to try and get back into this site off the back of this aftershock, and there's a nice fat paranoia coming through as well. You still got players in hell, but the player hell falls, and like that, it comes down to now one. It's all up to Moose. Moose has to save the day. Recon Dart's going to give away the position. They're going to start tapping on the spike. Moose has to win this battle, and no! IMT puts their foot down and says, enough is enough. We are going to map 3 with a 1-1 score.
What a beautiful retake in the end there for Immortals to make it 13-11. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to into a third. The last time they faced off against each other, as you mentioned here, Bach, and they had a raised in there. So that having a stage for LG could be that answer again, as I mentioned before, about that battle for the control into Hookah. Now I think when you're looking back at Immortals, they're pretty good at holding Showers control. And holding Showers control on the defender side for Immortals is off the back of chemicals and of nature. So which is why I wouldn't be surprised to see nature playing as a Cypher into this map instead of a Killjoy, just because the camera and the trap bars and the cyber cages are so good to prevent these type of early pushes into the Showers control for the attackers. Okay.
Now, that is a switch up. The last time they played this map, Shot-Up played as Phoenix, not as Breach. So we saw the initial tease on the Breach pick, then was teasing us as well, going full troll with the Yoru selection, which didn't end up happening. And I'm still kind of curious if we ever will actually see that. But then he does decide to go for Breach. So it's a different comp than what we've seen before. Clearly feeling confident as Breach. It's interesting, though, because it does take away some of that duelist nature that you get with Shot-Up, because you don't have Run It Back, you don't have the self-heal, and Curveball is strong, and so is Flashpoint, so I feel like that's kind of a moot point as they kind of combine. But, you know, you do get a little bit more flexibility for a player who has got some more survivability, potentially, with Phoenix, whereas Breach, you know, obviously you get the flashes and you get that ult, but I feel like the rest of his kit isn't going to really favor someone like Shot-Up's playstyle.
Yeah, I'm just literally, I had the gears turning in my mind to see how maybe they could play with the Breach inside the defender side for Immortals. I could think about now the Showers control, instead of having having the Cypher going instead, you could definitely use the Breach to help out. He could play towards the U-shaped hallway, which he currently is right now. That's a very good spot for Breach players to prevent these types of aggression and dashes, or should I say satchel charges from Raze into the site, currently being used by Thief. So we'll see how it pans out once we get live here into the matchup, once we get the gun rounds going, once we have the ultimates going as well for both of these teams. But nonetheless, we have started the third and final map of this best set of 3 in the semifinals of the upper bracket. Winner of this gets into Masters. And it's going to be LG looking to execute into this B site off the back of the Owl drone, and Thief ready with the pink shells. Here they come with the push in.
I like the fly-in there as well. The wall's going to come down. They can't break it in time, so they're going to keep on chiseling away at that ice. And they do eventually form a gap, but it's too late as the spike's already been planted. So it's 5-on-5 retake territory. So many flashes coming out between the Flashpoint and the Paranoia. Your boy Dre and Stellar both combining. It's a bloodbath on the site, and it comes down to the last target. Shot-Up, who goes for the leap, and a Proto catches Shot-Up as the jump flash comes out. 1-0 in favor of LG. That pistol round should be just a taste. That is an appetizer for what will be the main course of this third and final map.
That's insane. It was back and forth there. It was two-toned onto the top right score on the kill feed pretty much, because it was trade after trade. So yes, it is going to be an appetizer of what's to come. It's going to be a bloodbath for these teams. Already your boy Drake going with the Phantom, and it's an all-out stinger for Immortals. Looking to still play a default at this point though. You have that Showers control, and this time you see that Chemicals is playing towards towards Hookah, which is something that's very important for Raze as well, which is why potentially having a Breach instead for stopping ability to prevent these pushes with fault lines and flashes, you can now put Chemicals into a site right here with a Raze, just to try to fight back versus the Stellar control versus the Thief control in that actual spot.
Currently playing dodgeball in Hookah as the Razes. Both players currently dodged the ball that was coming. Ultimately, it was the nade being sent out. Paint shells coming in from both. This is something we saw from Immortals before, and it was really difficult for their opponents to deal with, was their ability to control showers with nature. Now, what they didn't anticipate at the time was they weren't facing off against a Sage. So now the Sage wall comes through and makes it a little bit more difficult and tricky for them. There's great shots coming in from Thief, spotting out the first player exiting the showers. Good move to get away from the cubby or the pocket as the lightning bolts coming through. The shock darts from their Sova. Recon dart will give away the first player's position. He's going to have to move, and as he shifts, he gets called out. And it's down now again to a 1-on-2 this time, actually, as it's going to be a Proto. He's got to be careful. The rocket doesn't get fired, but it's okay. Gangsta's there, and he hits him with the kneecap shots from the Stinger. Are we really all that surprised to see the pistol round get traded back with a Stinger purchase? No, but what I am surprised is that we already saw a showstopper ult in the second round. What is happening?
That was actually pretty insane to see a showstopper on second round. So Chemicals, yeah, he's got six kills on the board and died the previous round, so he definitely did have the ultimate ready without needing to pick up any orbs. So very well done there for Chemicals to make things very, very stressful for LG. And on top of that, helping Immortals actually get that round to tie it 1-1. So having a showstopper out in the second round, even using it so early, I love it, because at the rate that Chemicals is going, there's a potential that he might have 3 or 4 showstoppers into the half if he steps it up the way that he does, controlling this hookah area.
Chemicals has some backup as well from the Cypher cam that was in the corner. As I say that, the Cypher cam is completely removed from the scenario. It'll be another round of Stingers, SMGs, potentially even shotguns. Cyber Cage is going to go down, so they'll know there's a potential second target there. They actually swap spots. So Thief is now going to be battling up against the Cypher. They have not really managed to gain control of hookah just yet. They're slowly and methodically pulling away what limited utility Immortal has. And that's what allows them to get into the hookah position now. So they've got control of hookah, and they're working up long as well. We're going to see a split here in just a moment. This position in the cubby should not work out too well for their Raze. Might get the first one, but immediate trade out, exactly what we expected to see. The recon dart does give away the position as Nature's trying to hunker down inside the tube. Actually, great shots coming out, but it'll ultimately be Immortals coming through on top with, again, Gangsta, the star performer from Nap 1, stepping up here in the third round.
And the economy is still going to continue to be kind of broken for these two teams, so I wouldn't be surprised to continue to see like these forces coming back and forth. Looking at IMT right now, there you go. So IMT right now still on Stingers, still on Spectres, and for LG, well, they're forcing up for Stingers at this point. It's going to continue this way. Potentially until LG wins 2 rounds in a row, or of course if Nature and company win this next round, then the economy is definitely going to be settled finally into like a normalized first half. And as I'm talking about normalized, it's the first time that Chemicals actually rushes out of the hookah side, not making things normal at all from the first half, how things have panned out on this hookah control. But it's traded out right away. It's a 4 versus 4. No information after that. We're trying to take showers. It's a big paranoia that allows Nature to get 2 kills.
Cage triggered.
And that's very well done here for Immortals as they look back towards the APC, and Nature is just on a run. A self-boost on the wall. The wall has been broken at the same time. Stellar trades back onto JC Stani, but knows that Nature is just around the corner. He's by himself, and Nature gets the quad kill for the round.
Nature and JC Stani lock down Showers so incredibly well. That tandem duo in Showers has worked out in several matches in the past, and the timing on this paranoia could not have been better. Catching the first target and then the second as well, and then Nature on the site manages to convert on a third despite being low on HP. Somehow hits the headshot onto Stellar to finish off the 4K. An impressive stop championed by the Cypher for Immortals. And we'll see the full buy come through. Chemicals is going to go with the op, despite the fact that he's playing as Raze. It's not something we see all that often, Raze with the op. But it is Chemicals after all, and I'm sure if anyone's going to make it work, It can be him with the way that he's played when he's had the AWP in his hands, which has been somewhat rare. It hasn't been something that we see a whole lot of, and in general, it's not something they typically go to in their repertoire. The shock dart's going to miss, which will allow him a little bit more staying power in this position. There's a follow-up shock dart, or the recon dart, excuse me, coming out from the Owl. And now the ice is down, and yeah, you're not getting away from that one. Good luck. That's where not having Jet is brutal, because you don't have Tailwind to get out of that. So you're stuck into that position. At best, you can blast pack and escape.
I have the
But
spike.
it's just a change-up of mechanics that maybe he's not as accustomed to when it comes to the getaway tactics.
Yeah, and after I watched how Nature and JC Stunning played towards that shower side, it brought me back. At first, before I started this game, I did talk about Chemicals and Nature in that spot, but I do see the importance of having JC Stunning there instead, and how they played here with Nature, so that they could actually use that paranoia to really hold down that shower's control. Well, you always keep Chemicals on this B side, or with the operator, or with the rifles to hold B. That said, though, with the first player falling down for Immortals being Chemicals himself, with the AWP being down at the same time, with an ult inside that site, noticing that it's open, they just run in, and it's going to be an open plant, and we're trying to play the retake, and it's once again who better than Immortals Gangsta getting one kill with the Hunter's Fury to even up the tally on a 4-4.
Gangsta's success rate with Hunter's Fury is so insane. These flashes as well going to be pretty difficult for Thief. Shot Up does take significant damage in the fight against Thief inside Hookah, but it's coming together so nicely. Now, there is a Hunter's Fury here for Moose, but he's playing on this spike a little bit closer, able to take down Shot Up around the corner, but realizes this round's lost. There's nothing that can be done. There's so much flash firepower being sent that direction, so it's better for him to just escape.
JC Stunning so close. This battle is happening very soon here, just around the corner of the showers. It's a recon dart, and he saves it.
Survives, yeah.
Just like with the last second, that could have turned any other way, but you're lucky here for Moose to stay alive, and thankfully here as well, you're counting your stars as you have 4 ultimates. You already had the res ready for Stellar on that previous round, but he didn't have any opportunities to actually go for any reses here. So now you have Moose with a Vandal. He does have the Hunter's Fury, and you also have Thief with a Showstopper. So this could go back into this mixed buy for LG and try to utilize those ultimates into your favor to try to narrow up this lead that Immortals is currently slowly walking away with, as they're showing continuous dominance here towards this B side, or should I say towards the scoreboard. And as I mentioned, sometimes we switch things around, and there you go. You see Chemicals now going into the showers and getting paint shell kills towards the shower side.
There's the ult being used, the Showstopper. No, doesn't fire it inside the can. There is a player that was inside bin, but they've been taken care of. There's a counter ult coming out, but the rocket doesn't produce the success. Great shots coming out from both sides. And you've got the ult ready. The res is going to come through. There's Rolling Thunder in exchange for IMT, and oh man, this is going to be awkward. Rolling Thunder on the backside of site. There's the Aftershock coming through as well. There's still one more backside site. It's Shot Up with 4. Shot Up dumps everything at them. Flash, Aftershock, the ult as well, and just runs in full force. We said before, Breach is not typically the type of agent that would play to the strengths of someone like Shot Up, who wants to get aggressive and take that battle to you, and he proves us wrong.
100%, and that's where you, as LG, you're giving so much respect for Shot Up at that point, because I'm pretty sure Shot Up was low HP, right? When we looked at that replay, which means now in a 1 versus 1, Stellar has a res is like, screw it, I just want to try to bring the numbers advantage on my side. But with that ult, now you give away where both players are at on that res, and that Rolling Thunder for sure will hit them, and you have the aggression of Shot Up. The way that he plays the Duelist continues mechanically to be sound and good as that Breach to capitalize on those 2 kills. So it was close. They almost had it. They didn't use the Hunter's Fury. They still managed to get into the site, but there was no plant, and it's still going to be Immortals taking the lead by 4, and also a 1-man advantage into this round as they lose control of Tehuka. That's Thief to fall, and the rest of them will try to rush up towards this A side now.
There's the wall going up. This one cuts across. That means that it's going to be a default and U-Haul push that has to come through to retake the site. You've already got Nature on site as well. Knows there's potentially one around the corner, but is slowly and methodically clearing things out inside U-Haul. And That's what you want to see if you're LG, finding that first kill. Because that player was in position, poised to make this threat more viable for Immortals. The shots from Chemicals haven't been where they needed to be, and now they're going to hear the rotate out as well. The blast pack will allow Chemicals to escape relatively unharmed. Recon Dart goes through, doesn't give away the position. That's going to be a false sense of security here for Moose. It doesn't go deep enough around the corner, and now he's going to peek with a knife out. It's a nice shot from Chemicals as well, straight to the dome. Had to get into that position to dodge the blast radius of the spike. But it's a round for LG. They desperately needed to grab. Again, though, you go back to asking yourself, at what cost? Comes down to one player. Like, that's an expensive round to win.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still a broken buy here. Yeah, see, Gangsta, if he wants to get full utility because he died, will probably have to go small shields. So that's Gangsta and Shut Up having to go small shields. You're looking at LG. The rest of them are okay, though. Even though like they only had one player alive on that push, they're still going to be good. There's only Thief that has to go with a Bulldog. But full shields, and you still had money in the bank, of course, because you get 3,000 credits. With the amount of bonuses that you've been getting on those previous rounds, then you finally break the bank slowly for Immortals, but you also have enough here to go for the buyout that victory. So LG still has a chance to bring this back into the first half. But it's still going to be now just that control. Actually, I was going to talk about that a little bit. I didn't see that much of a heavy showers presence for Immortals on that previous round, potentially because you have Chemicals as the operator and you wanted to play towards that heaven side, which then allowed players here for LG to get control of the A side. And now off of camera, they're going with a drive-by stinger on that previous patch. 2 easy kills and a man of edge back for IMT.
3 kills, cover.
Again, mentioned how good their showers control is, and you can see it playing out here. Even without nature, they're able to lock down that position with JC Stanny. Sure, he ultimately does die to Stellar, who comes through, but a quick flick from Chemicals after coming through the dark cover. The last remaining player on site is your boy Trey. Hold on. This round is not over. Most importantly, has the spike and the ult available. Goes into showers, which could have been a little bit sketchy, given that the last remaining player was actually in showers. Decides to deady on that as well. So you're going to see the portal potentially utilized, but no. The last remaining player can't give away that audible tell. Has to run all the way around. Your boy Dre is going to gain significant clock, but the position is played currently towards spawn. He might not anticipate this play coming through from Hookah. It's all about timing. How long will your boy Dre watch that before thinking it's going to come from another direction?
Oh. In the end, your boy Dre will be able to get it. It's a tough one because at his position, like looking at the overhead view, it's like, okay, he has plenty of time to work with. He can go anywhere that he wants around that B site to play that pulse plan into his advantage. But little does he know, putting yourself into his shoes, that opponent could be anywhere right now. You have no information where he's at.
Yeah.
So you're playing inside that cub, you were like, oh crap, is he going to come in from spawn? Is he going to come in from the site? Both of these players are playing 50-50 and trying to gamble where their opponents are. So it was stressful for both sides, and thankfully for your boy Dre, he had better positioning in the end, based by, I would say at this point, luck.
It was a good thought as well by Gangsta, who ran back from showers to short, anticipating a fake port out. So even though from the shadows was utilized, there was an anticipation that maybe he could try to bait or rotate to B. Had he done that, there would have been so much clock available for him. But that doesn't end up being the case.
Oof.
LG has to be careful. They give a lot of sight control here. They played super passive on this because of the way that they went through the port early on in the round. So now they've lost control of B. To a certain extent, excuse me. Misspeaking. My brain got all confused.
It's almost a mirror match, so we get it at this point,
I was
too.
speaking,
I mean, they
of the
try
other
to go
side,
for this
yeah.
eco. They get the double dink as well onto Thief, who's trying to get control of that hookah. So with that, he's forced to fall back, and then they decide to push towards this A side, because even though he got dinked, he knows that there's some way of a stack because of a person playing under. Yeah, I think he saw even a second player as he was getting shot in the face. And then now you're fighting with only classics at this point versus Immortals, and you're able to tie things up, or almost tie things up. It's a 5-4 on the scoreline. You're able to bring the money back here for Immortals, and now this full gun round, we'll see what happens.
I totally went full potato there and was thinking that IMT was sneaking onto the site from long, and Thief was holding from hookah. Total brain fart in how I was even speaking. Don't look
Listen,
away,
man, it's
even
been
for
an
a
intense
moment.
series of back and forth that it's very hard to say who's really taking the lead in this series, so I totally get it.
And you know what? I went to take a drink and pull up stats on the side, and in that process, I got distracted. I was trying to find if I could see a success rate or a kill tally for Gangsta with that ult on this map. Like, how frequently or how many kills, for that matter, does Gangsta typically get with the Hunter's Fury per map? It's hard to find a statistic like that. No one currently tracks it, so I was looking to see if it was available, but unfortunately, not to be the case. And this is why I brought that up. His success rate on Hunter's Fury is so insanely high, especially across this series. I would love to see just how many total kills he has this series with that ult, and how big the impact is isn't even measured in that, because some of those kills were doubles that gave them a two-player advantage, or even brought it down to even strength. Gangsta on site does ultimately die in the end, so that player we were praising for the ult utilization can't do much with the rifle and the one-to-one exchange, but it's still a 3-on-3 because of some of the work that he did early in the round.
Well, now with the attempt coming back here for Immortals, they have one player that's low on HP. That's a big paranoia. Stellar is going to get caught from that, and now shot up. Probably still has another flash and an aftershock. So to gain control of this site, your boy Dre's in a do-or-die spot. A big paranoia too at the same time. Lines them both up to get a 4K into the round. The clutch pretty much on a 3 versus 2. And LG, they do manage to tie it up in the end here, Bach.
Eerily reminiscent of a round that played out on Icebox as well, when you had your boy Dre back behind yellow. It was a B-side plant. He tried to get the ace, almost did, got a 4K, got cut one short. Double peak resulted in that 4th kill, mind you. Immediately traded, almost to the extent that I didn't realize he got that 4th kill because it happened at the same time. It was simultaneous kill and death. Here, though, LG has kept themselves alive. They've already done better than the last time these two teams faced. They only got 3 rounds last time around. So looking a little bit smoother here, but sure wasn't a great start. IMT controlled the early game. LG has woken up just a bit. This round doesn't look too pretty from the buy standpoint. Oh, whoops. Well, the nade was supposed to bounce off the solar panels or a satellite dish, whatever you want to call that, and go into hookah. It doesn't quite land. Instead goes sailing into the distance. In the meantime, we had 1-for-1 trades, putting us at a 4-on-4. There is an ult available currently for both sides, Showstopper and Rolling Thunder. Your boy Dre able to spot out shot up because the From the Shadows ult allowed him to get into this heaven position. The wall's going to go down from Stellar yet again. That cuts things in half, and he's realizing, I think it's just better to get out of here. So the spike will be planted, and it'll be a 4-on-3, excuse me, with the retake team slightly at a disadvantage. Shot up starts to chip away at the ice, but your boy Dre able to come through swinging, grabs 2, and now it's all up to Shot Up. He's been heroic in his performance as Breach thus far, and actually somehow dodges the bullets point blank range, flashes and goes back the other direction. Moose cannot be fooled. 6 rounds now for LG in the first half on bond.
Last round to come up here, and it continues to show how LG's not out of this fight yet. They're tallying up a lot of rounds, stringing a lot of rounds right now to show a more dominant here attacker side.
I think you're muted on my side, Van Silly, so I'm not sure if you're still here. I think I lost you. Hopefully you are, and I'm not talking over top of you.
We're good.
But, okay, we're good. I thought maybe you had fallen down a well. I was about to call Lassie over here. I'm looking for the boomer.
Nobody knows who Lassie is at this point.
We'll make a boomer dog reference to save a boomer man himself, so it's okay.
But yeah, sorry, I was muted on Discord, but we're good here on the stream. So definitely I was saying that the LG definitely showing that they're stringing a lot of rounds here, still showing a lot of fight and grit into this round, but as they're trying to Showstopper into the site, tallied with a paranoia that is thrown there from LG, your boy Dre, we still had Chemicals that was still able to land an operator shot onto Thief that also cancels out the Showstopper. Now they gain a lot of map control. They don't lose any damage at all. And this is just going to make things harder here for LG to take the site.
Well, it seems all too fitting that the scoreline would be 6-6 at the end of this first half. Moose is trying to show that that's not going to be the case, that he's got a little bit more fight left in him. He's brought it down to 4. He's trying to hit shots right now, but with 43 HP, it's only a matter of time. Ends up dying to his doppelganger. Rolling Thunder popped at the end. We are moving into a second half with a tie score, but we're going to throw things to a very brief break. And when we come back, we'll be seeing which team can gain control. And we're right back into the thick of it as the second half commences. It's time to see who's going to take control of that scoreboard. Kicking things off with a pistol round win would be huge, as it's Immortals, who looked good early on. Then they started to fade a bit. Shot up. Going ahead and leading them in with the fault line coming through. Moose try to kind of slow them down a bit with a shock dart. Wants to send his Owl drone out flying. Recon dart into position. Will give away the position of Stellar, who's now in hot water on the site. Desperately needs help. Good dink shots coming down, but no kills coming out as of yet. Immortals crushes that B-side defense that was set up for LG.
Damn.
They're now in a 5-on-1, an incredibly strong take from IMT to kick off this second half.
That's strong. The flashes, the pushes in, the frenzies, of course, leaving Thief on a 5 versus 1. Yeah, there's 2 players that are low on HP, but he won't be able to do much, especially there after he gets stopped by GCStani. A team ace on top of that. So a flawless, a team ace, and Immortals, they let LG come back into this game, but they want to continue their streak like they had at the beginning of the first half. After converting on the force buy on that second round, they just want to run away with this and punch that ticket through. And we were scrambling a little bit, Buck, for a few rounds because we were trying to figure out, you were talking about the stats and everything too. Big shout out to Run It Back. I think I was able to finally find that command. So if I was able to do a command to find how many Hunter's Fury kills that Gangsta was able to get here on this map for Bind for the amount of times that he's played, I don't have the sample size of how many maps he's played it, but he's got it 10 times. But if I look into his career, he's had 49 Hunter's Fury kills so far. With the amount of times they're able to get the ultimate. So when you're thinking about it, there's not many times that you actually bring out a Hunter's Fury into your matches. Let's say on average 2 per game. And if you're able to tally up to 49 of them in total, it shows how effective you could be with that Hunter's Fury. But it'll be nice to get the map pool as well to figure that out later on. That said though, 7-6 here for Immortals as we're moving in on an eco for LG, a proto inside the showers. But as things calm down from that smoke, the rest of the action is pushing back towards this B side.
GCStani on the site. Going ahead and sticking that spike for Immortals. We've talked about how scrappy and hard-fought these second rounds can often be. This paranoia could be big. With the build-up currently in spawn, it doesn't hit the target to the left, and they know that GCStani is here inside tube. They're trying to get back out onto the site, but Immortals, again, is stomping out the retake potential, but your boy Dre pops off with the stinger, almost makes it possible, before who other than the player we were just speaking about, Gangsta, putting his foot down, stomping out the flames of a hot retake coming in from LG, 8-6. Immortals retains control of the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's one of the players that when I was watching before for Immortals in the first iterations, especially of Immortals in the beta days. It was like, yo, we have to look out for Gangsta. The amount of times that he's able to get shock dart kills onto this map, the Hunter's Fury that he usually throws into the elbow down towards Long B and vice versa to try to take that kind of control, it's changed a little bit. We haven't seen that much of that into today's matches, just in general, because as the meta continues to shift forward, teams are getting ready and used to how they could counteract on these type of plays that are now becoming a little bit more gimmicky. But with that, though, we do have one player that has fallen early into this round, as LG is trying to use the low weaponry that they have to try to come back into this round. So 1 to fall, the rest of Immortals trying to push forward into the site, then an aftershock that comes in towards you, so that allows that control for Immortals at the same time. They're trying to take down a Proto, and they managed to do so finally.
One enemy remaining.
One enemy remaining. You heard the call come out. The remaining enemy is going to be Moose. He's up in heaven. He's only got a Sheriff. Again, around. Going in favor of Immortals. A blistering pace in this second half as they pick up the first 2 and likely the third, unless Moose can do the impossible and managed to win a 1v4 close plant with just a Sheriff against SMGs. And they've got great setups as well. There's no way. Now they know where he's at. Nice shot, actually, out onto Nature. Might get onto site, take some damage on the fall. Hold on. Moose is doing damage. Sure, he's not going to win that round. We know that. But costing them money, that's important, especially because that round was more of a bonus setup. So anything he can try to strip away to make it cost even a little bit more, even though they might potentially throw those guns away to purchase rifles, is important.
Yep.
Every
And
kill
even then, I
counts.
just feel bad for Moose, too. There's been so many rounds into this series where he's, like, on his lonesome, having to try to do any type of damage, any type of clutches. I'm just thinking about Icebox. I think there was 2 occasions for that as well. Just a little bit tough here for LG, where you want your friends, your teammates to help out a little bit more to maybe try to make these rounds a little bit closer. But now, as we're trying to look back into this round, we'll see now with LG, with the money that they have, with now Stellar playing inside this hookah area as that Sage. Again, it's that battle, this time a different player. It is going to have to be Chemicals from Immortals, and it's going to be Chemicals that falls. So that continues to reign true here so far for LG on this hold on hookah side, and that could be now that start of a comeback for LG2, knowing that it's tough to take hookah control, so there's less areas of map control for Immortals where they run into the obvious spots on the A side, where the trapwires are set up towards short A as well.
Tripwire destroyed.
Hey, Proto goes for the swing, but again, Immortals winning those duels on the site. There's ults coming out. It's dueling Hunter's Furies trying to stop the spike, and of course, you've got Gangsta swinging for the fences with another ult kill on Hunter's Fury. That would make number 50, by the way, for Gangsta across his career. The retake is underway, but it's also underwhelming. It's only 2 players, so they don't exactly have everything they need to try to get in. A strong camp placement, but your boy Dre actually sneaks inside that smoke so that the dart doesn't give away the position, and he knows it came from showers. The ping is on the spike, so you might see the swing here, and the spray down. It'll be a double for JC Stani. Immortals continue to keep control here on the attacking side, and again, we were concerned looking at this map because of the history between these 2 teams, and we're talking recent history, not ancient history. Playing in the last closed qualifier where Immortals came out swinging, picked up a big dub 13-3.
Yeah. And now it continues to be one-sided if you're looking at the second half here, Bach, between these 2 teams. And even then, it's just how well they've been able to contain players that could blow up like Thief right now. Currently sitting at 6 and 15 just because he's so well controlled, especially on the second half, where so far in all of these rounds, there's only been 1 round where we had full rifles for LG. So keeping the economy low, putting him back in a situation where they have to be on shares, on low buys, and Thief once again gets canceled out towards his B side, and he gets a second kill shot up, is going to be able to help out his teammate that was fully paranoid into hookah to tally up on the 4th kill. So Proto at this point, I think he's going to count his losses. I wonder if you're also going to die at this too. Maybe go through the teleporter and try to do some damage on your end. Look for exits. And there you go. He opens the door. He's going to die. You want to make sure you get the max bonus into the next round to get 2,900, right? They haven't really won a round into this defender side yet. So they're going to be coming in at 2,900 instead of 1,000. And now the money comes back into their favor. The good news as well is that after that death, you have a showstopper that's now ready for a Thief. You're 1 orb away from a res for Stellar. You're 2 away from a Proto. Not that useful, at least in my opinion, to try to hold up towards the A side. I think the kills are going to be enough. I mean, as an anchor player like your Proto, to get 2Ks, 3Ks onto the A side, throw the head after, is good enough for me instead of fighting for the orb. So this could now be the moment where LG could hopefully bring it around. But Immortals continue to show dominance here on this attacker side.
Tripwire destroyed.
The ult being popped. It's actually good enough to catch Chemicals around the corner. Rolling Thunder was used as well. There's a flash that allows Shot to sneak his way into U-Haul, but that nade does significant damage. LG with the player advantage currently. Immortals does have site control, but not really. There's still a looming threat inside U-Haul, and now it's JC Stani who realizes the portal is his best friend. As he sneaks his way through and runs over to the opposite site, he'll go ahead and guarantee at least a spike plant out of this one. But it'll be a 1v3, and a nice recon dart as well flies in from spawn for Moose to give away the position of the last remaining member of IMT.
Even the Aljon's going to secure it because now that smoke comes out, he has the paranoia. Now they just spray through the box, and there you go. JC standing false. If they get the round in, maybe try to give that defuse to Moose. No, they're just going to go for the full defuse. I guess Moose was probably at 3 at this point, 3 out of 7 or something like that on his ult point. So you want to try to bring it back for Thief because he was able to get good results with it after that kill. So yeah, he's still at 2 and 7 as he was at that point on that previous round. So 11-7, the rifle round comes in once again for Immortals. They're still looking comfortable at the money situation. If they lose the next round, they can still buy again. So it's still going to be a very, very tough battle for LG as they have to try to win 4 in a row to try to tie things up. But the moment that they actually lose the round, there's a potential that they're going to be broken in the economy, and Immortals is going to be at 12 versus broken buys for LG. So they have to come out strong for the rest of this game for LG and not lose that many players in the process of these rounds.
Something of note. I've been tweaking with these tools here on the side, trying to get more analytical. I actually managed to track down using, again, the run it back tool. Big shout out to the devs behind that one. Gangsta has 14 career ult kills against Immortals. I couldn't quite trace it down to today only. It seems like that data has not yet been parsed, but that is incredible given that there's 50 total kills and a percentage that high, above 20%. Is against this one team. Shot up. Execution style takes down a Proto with a shot to the dome. Again, Immortals looking really good on the take as they've got a 2-player advantage. Your boy Dre doesn't stand a chance. Everything falling apart here. It's all up to Moose, who was heroic at times against 100 Thieves, but not gonna be good enough today. Chemicals again with the jumping classic. Can we get a stat line on that? Because we've seen so many jumping classic kills for Chemicals in this series. I'm sure it is infuriating for the members of LG, who are currently down 5 rounds to Immortals, and they're trying to punch their ticket into that upper finals.
I would even like to count that stat post-nerf, and it probably will still be high. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But yes, that's it. So you're throwing everything that you can for LG. 2 players only with stingers, rifles for the rest. They have a res, which is that moment of salvation, and also a neural theft to try to get some information. And look at how they played for the Immortal side. They go for this battle again on that Sans control, but what does help is the fact that they have shot up. They have a fault line, they have aftershot, they have 2 flashes, they have Chemicals as utility, where Stellar after that, you fall back into the site, you've already used a wall, you've already used a slow orb, so you've taken away a lot of defensive utility towards this B side, when you usually have a Proto playing that Cypher on that A site. So weakened side on B. It's a potential that you might fall back later on into the round and finish up on that site. But this is looking very grim right now for LG. Immortals, they've showed dominance here. They continue to show dominance on the attacker side, and why they're so comfortable playing on a map like Bind. But again, what other map do you try to leave into the pool for LG? You leave Haven, he's still struggling into that map. So this is their best chance, and they have to bring their chances now.
Here we go.
30
The
seconds.
take towards the B site. Moose trying to shut it down from backside, but with only a stinger, he's hamstrung. And it's down now to 1. It's been reduced to only the Cypher, who's coming through from spawn, and his position's been given away as Nature throws his hat off and may as well be throwing it onto the coat rack to retire from the day, as a Proto is alone. It's a 1v3. It's going to be so incredibly difficult. We've seen him pull out insane clutches, specifically on this B site with a Sheriff, no less. This time he's going to have to do it with a rifle, and they just peek too perfectly. Immortals are making it into the upper finals. They were fantastic on Bind. It was a hard-fought series, but they do manage to scrape up the victory.
And Immortals, ladies and gentlemen, they live on into the Masters. The first team, at least maybe